Act 1 of The Cabinet Minister by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The persons of the play.
The Right Honorable Sir Julian Twombley, GCMG, MP, Secretary of State for the Blank Department. Read by Todd.
Lady Twombley, read by Sonia.
Brooke Twombley, their son, read by Tomas Peter.
Imogen,
Their daughter.
read by Leanne.
Dowager Countess of Drumdurris, read by T.J. Burns.
Lady Euphemia Vibart, her daughter, read by Devorah Allen.
Earl of Drumdurris, read by Scott Kelly.
Egidia, Countess of Drumdurris, read by Jael Baldwin.
Lady Macphail, read by Beth Thomas.
Sir Colin Macphail of Ballocheven, her son, read by Chuck Williamson.
Valentine White, Lady Twombley's nephew, read by Kurt from Tucson, Arizona.
The Honorable Mrs. Gaylaster, a young widow trading as Morissette and Company, 17A Plunkett Street, Mayfair, read by Linda Olsen FitakMr, Los Angeles.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon, read by Son of the Exiles.
Mr. Melton, Sir Julian's private secretary, read by Craig Franklin.
The Munkittrick, read by Alan Mapstone.
Miss Munkittrick, read by Eva Davis.
Probyn, a servant, read by Philip Gould.
Angèle, a French nurse, read by Sandra
SchmitStage Directions, read by Larry Wilson. The Cabinet Minister, the First Act, Debt. The scene is a conservatory built and decorated in Moorish style in the house of the Right Honourable Sir Julian Twombley, MP, Chesterfield Gardens, London. A fountain is playing, and tall palms lend their simple elegance to the elaborate Algerian magnificence of the place. The drawing rooms are just beyond the curtained entrances. It is a May afternoon. Brooke Twombley, a good-looking but insipid young man of about 22, faultlessly dressed for the afternoon, enters and sits dejectedly, turning over some papers.
I've done it. Such an afternoon's work, what?
Reading.
Schedule of the debts of Mr. Brooke Twombley.
Turning over sheet after sheet.
Tradesmen, betting transactions, baccarat, miscellaneous amusements, sundries, extras.
Probyn, a servant in powder and livery, is crossing the conservatory when he sees Brooke.
Oh, Mr. Brooke.
Brooke Twombley slipping the schedule into his pocket.
Eh?
I didn't know you were in, sir. Her ladyship told me to give you this, Mr. Brooke, quietly.
He hands Brooke a letter which he has taken from his pocket. Brooke Twombley, glancing at the envelope.
The mater. Thank you.
A little cough is heard. He looks toward the drawing room.
Is anyone there?
Mrs. Gayluster, sir.
The dressmaker? What does she want?
She told Phipps, Miss Imogen's maid, sir, that she was anxious to see the effect of her ladyship's and Miss Imogen's gowns when they get back from the drawing-room.
You should take her upstairs.
Beg your pardon, Mr. Brooke, but we've always understood that when Mrs. Gayluster calls in the morning, she's a dressmaker, and when she calls in the afternoon, she's a lady.
Oh, very well. It's awfully confusing.
Probyn goes out. Brooke reads the letter.
My sweet child, for heaven's sake, let me have your schedule, or whatever you call your list of debts, directly. I'll do my best to get you out of your scrape, though how I can't think. I'm desperately short of money, and altogether, as my poor dear father used to say, things are as blue as old Stilton. If your pa finds out what a muddle I'm in, I fear he'll throw up public life and bury us in the country, and then goodbye to my dear boys' and girls' prospects. So if I contrive to clear you once more, don't do it again, my poppet, or you'll break the heart of your loving mother, Kitty Twombley. The mater's a brick, what? But I wonder if she has any notion how much it tots up to.
He places the letter upon the back of a large saddle-bag armchair while he takes out the schedule.
3,756, what?
Probyn enters.
A young man wants to see you, Mr. Brooke.
Who is it?
No card, sir, and rather queerly dressed. Says he has a wish to shake hands with you on the doorstep.
Oh, I say. He mustn't, you know, what?
I don't quite like the look of him, sir. Gives the name of White, Mr. Valentine White.
Why, that's my cousin.
Cousin, sir? I beg pardon.
Where is he?
Brooke goes out quickly, followed by Probyn. The Honorable Mrs. Gayluster, an attractive, self-possessed, mischievous-looking woman of not more than 30, very fashionably dressed, enters from the drawing-room.
How very charming. Lady Twombley's latest fad, the Algerian conservatory. And there was a time when a sprig of geranium on the window-sill would have contented her.
Looking at the photograph of Lady Twombley upon the table.
There she is, Kitty Twombley. In one of my gowns, too. Kitty Twombley, once Kitty White, the daughter of a poor farmer down in Cleverton. Ah, when young Mr. Julian Twombley came canvassing Farmer White's vote, he found you innocently scrubbing the bricks, I suppose. And now,
with a curtsy,
Lady Twombley, wife of a cabinet minister and patroness extraordinary of that deserving young widow, Fanny Gayluster.
She sits surveying the portraits upon the table.
Ha ha! I'll turn you all to account some fine day. Why shouldn't I finish as well as the dairy-fed daughter of a Devonshire yokel? What on earth is wrong with my bonnet?
She puts her hand up behind her head and finds Lady Twombley's letter which Brooke had left on the back of the chair.
Lady Twombley's writing.
Reading.
My sweet child, for heaven's sake, let me have your schedule.
She sits up suddenly and devours the contents of the letter.
Oh!
Reading aloud.
I'm desperately short of money. Things are as blue as old Stilton. If your pa finds out... My word.
Brooke Twombley heard speaking outside.
My dear Valentine, why shouldn't you come in, what?
Mrs. Gayluster creeps round in front of the table and disappears with the letter in her hand as Brooke enters, dragging in Valentine White, a roughly dressed, handsome young fellow of about 26, bronzed and bearded.
Now, Brooke, you know I cut away from England years ago because I couldn't endure ceremony of any kind.
I'm not treating you with ceremony, what?
Valentine White looking about him.
Phew! The atmosphere's charged with it. That fellow with his hair powdered nearly sent me running down the street like a mad dog.
Where the deuce have you been for the last 6 or 8 years?
Where? Oh, by a geography. Call it Explorations of Valentine White in Search of Freedom. And there you have it.
Freedom?
Blessed freedom from forms, shams, and ceremonies of all sorts and descriptions.
Why, you left us for South Africa. Didn't South Africa satisfy you?
Satisfy me? I joined the expedition to Bangor-Ketsy. What were the consequences?
Fever?
Worse. There's no ceremony about fever. No, Brooke. I was snubbed by a major in the Kalahari Desert because I didn't dress for dinner.
Then we heard of you herding filthy cattle in Mexico.
Yes, at Durango. I enjoyed that, till some younger sons of the nobility came out and left cards at my hut. I afterwards drove a railway engine in Bolivia.
By Jove, how awful! What? Wasn't that sufficiently beastly rough?
My dear fellow, would you believe it? I got hold of a stoker who was a decayed British baronet. The affected way in which that man shoveled on coals was unendurable. So I've come back, hopelessly wise.
Serve you right for kicking at refinement and good form and all that sort of thing, what?
Valentine White mimicking Brooke.
Varnish and veneer and all that sort of thing, what?
Oh, confound you! Well, you'll dine here at 7:45, Val, won't you?
Dine in Chesterfield Gardens? 13 courses and 8 wines? Heaven forgive you, Brooke.
Look here, you shall eat on the floor with a wooden spoon.
Thank you. Even your floors are too highly polished. Tell Aunt Kitty and little Imogen that I shall walk in Kensington Gardens tomorrow morning at 10.
Little Imogen!
Well?
I think it will pretty considerably wound your susceptibilities to hear that my sister Imogen is being presented by the mater this afternoon.
Presented?
Presented at court. Drawing room, you know.
How dare they? Poor little child.
If you'll wait a few minutes, you'll see an imposing display of trains and feathers. Some of them are coming on here after the ceremony to drink tea, I believe.
Trains and feathers. Good gracious, Brooke, Imogen must have grown up.
Here's her portrait, what?
Valentine White staring at the portrait.
I am right, Brooke. She has grown up. 8 years ago she was a romp, with a frock that always had a tear in it and a head like a cornfield in the wind. Just look at this. While I've been away, they've given her a new frock and brushed her hair. What an awful change.
Probyn appears at the conservatory entrance.
Lady Euphemia Vibart.
Lady Euphemia Vibart, a handsome, distinguished-looking, and elegantly dressed girl of about 20, enters. She scarcely notices Valentine, who bows formally.
No one has returned yet, Brooke?
Effie, don't you recollect Mr. White?
Oh, how do you do?
She shakes hands with him in an affected manner.
We are distantly related, I remember.
Lady Euphemia, I join you in remembering the relationship. And the distance.
Oh, I don't mean that, Mr. White. At any rate, we were excellent friends many years ago when our cousin Imogen used to give us tea in her schoolroom. She will be too rejoiced at your return.
Brooke Twombley at the window.
Hello, I think Pa has come home.
Goodbye, Lady Euphemia.
I say, Effie, Mr. White won't stay.
Lady Euphemia Vibart, indifferently.
What a pity.
He has turned against civilization, you know, and has become a sort of pleasant cannibal.
A cannibal? That is too interesting. Pray remain, Mr. White. My brother, Lord Drumdurris, is on duty at the palace today and is coming on here. We all knew each other as children. He will be too delighted.
I recollect Lord Vibart, as then he was, very well. He once burnt me with a red-hot poker.
Good-humouredly, I'm sure. Perhaps you have not heard that he married Lady Egidia Cardillo, Lord Struddock's second daughter, about 2 years ago. If you stay, you will meet her also.
I'm afraid I...
You will find her too enchanting.
No, he won't. She's not tattooed or anything.
They have a little son, just 5 months old, who is too divine.
Ah, now, if you boiled the baby, it might be to Val's taste.
As they have been constantly travelling, Egidia is only just presented today by my mother. You recollect Lady Drumdurris, my mother?
Perfectly.
Brooke Twombley poking Valentine in the side.
Old Lady Drum.
My mother will be too charmed to meet you again.
Probyn enters. Probyn to Brooke.
Sir Julian is coming into the conservatory, sir.
Pa!
Probyn goes out.
Oh, dear Sir Julian.
She runs out.
Look sharp, Brooke. Let me out.
Val, I'll tell you what. Come upstairs and smoke a cigarette in my room, and I'll bring the maid and Imogen to you on the quiet when the people are gone.
Why, Brooke, do you think that Aunt Kitty and Imogen want a roving relative on the premises who isn't worth tuppence?
Bosh. Look out, here's Pa. He seems awfully mumpish. Come on.
He takes Valentine out. Directly they are gone, Lady Euphemia re-enters with Sir Julian Twombley, an aristocratic but rather weak-looking man of about 55, wearing his ministerial uniform.
Are you pleased to get back, uncle?
Yes.
She places him the armchair. He sinks into it with a sigh.
How is your neuralgia?
Intense. It has been so ever since.
Lady Euphemia Vibart, putting her smelling bottle to his nose.
Ever since?
Ever since I took office. Thank you.
Was it a very brilliant drawing-room?
I think it must have been. I have been more than usually trodden upon.
Did you catch a glimpse of Aunt Kitty or any of our people?
I heard Lady Twombley. What inexhaustible spirit she has! Euphemia, my dear, I confide in you. But for Lady Twombley I could never endure the badgering, the browbeating, the hackling for which I seem especially selected.
It's too unjust.
Oh, I know I am going to have a bad time in the house tonight.
Don't dwell upon it, uncle.
Euphemia?
He jumps up almost fiercely.
Uncle Julian.
Certain members of the opposition are going too far. They regard me as a bull in the arena. They goad me, they pierce me with questions. And then, the lack of journalistic sympathy. Look here.
He stealthily produces a newspaper from his pocket. Lady Euphemia Vibart reproachfully.
Uncle Julian, you've bought a newspaper. You promised Aunt you never would.
I would have you know, Euphemia, that I have not absolutely broken my pledge to Lady Twombley. I made Harris the coachman purchase this. As you drive home, drop it out of your carriage window.
As Lady Euphemia takes the paper from him, her eyes fall upon a paragraph.
Oh, do they mean you, uncle?
Without doubt.
Lady Euphemia Vibart reading.
The square peg.
Hush, the servant.
Lady Euphemia crams the paper into her pocket. Probyn enters, carrying a small music easel, with some music on it and a flute in a case.
Here, Sir Julian?
Oh, do play, uncle.
Sir Julian Twombley to Probyn.
Thank you.
It will soothe you.
Sir Julian Twombley taking the flute from Probyn.
My only vice, Euphemia.
Probyn goes out. Sir Julian sounds a mournful note.
This little friend has inspired some of my most conspicuous oratory triumphs. It has furnished me with many a cutting rejoinder for question time.
He sounds another note.
Ah, I know I am going to have such a bad night in the house.
He plays. Mrs. Gayluster enters with Brooke. Lady Euphemia Vibart to herself.
That woman.
Mrs. Gayluster to Lady Euphemia.
How do you do?
Lady Euphemia stares, inclines her head slightly, and goes to Brooke. Mrs. Gayluster to herself.
Haughty wretch.
Mrs. Gayluster.
Oh, Sir Julian, don't stop.
I thought I was alone with Lady Euphemia.
I am waiting to see dear Lady Twombley. Oh, do permit me to hear that sweet instrument.
Pray, sit down.
Sir Julian resumes his seat and plays a plaintive melody. Mrs. Gayluster listens in a rapt attitude. Lady Euphemia Vibart to Brooke.
That person is too odious to me.
Several people have taken her up.
Somehow being taken up is what she suggests.
She seems a sort of society mermaid, half a lady and half a milliner. What? Only it bothers you to know whether one leaves off and the other begins. Who is she?
In prehistoric days she was Miss Lebanon. Lord Bulpit's son, Percy Gayluster, met her at Nice, or somewhere.
Oh, yes, and he married her, or something.
Yes, and now she's a widow, or something.
Why does the mater encourage her?
Because Aunt Kate is too good-hearted and impressionable. But as a rule, I think Mrs. Gayluster makes a considerable reduction to those who ask her to their parties.
Mrs. Gayluster is bending over Sir Julian and turning his music.
Look.
Robin appears at the entrance.
Here's Sir Julian, my lady.
Hello, mater.
Lady Twombley, a handsome, bright, good-humoured woman, dressed magnificently in court dress, enters. Robin retires, and Sir Julian stops playing. Lady Twombley kissing Brooke.
Well, Brooke, darling, have you wanted your mother?
Kissing Lady Euphemia.
Effie, how sweet you look. What a dream of a bonnet.
Nods to Mrs. Gayluster.
How d'ye do, Mrs. Gayluster? Why, Pa!
She bends over him and kisses him.
You're worried. You've been playing your whistle.
Flute, Catherine.
I mean flute. It was my brother Bob who always played a whistle when the crops were poor or the lambs felt sickly.
I had not the advantage of your brother Robert's acquaintance.
Where's Imogen? Imogen!
Imogen outside.
Mamma!
Come and show yourself to Pa.
Imogen enters in her court dress, a pretty girl of about 18.
Effie, dear! Well, Brooke!
Lady Twombley to Sir Julian.
Look at her.
Quite charming.
Well, Papa, have you nothing to say to me?
My dear, I hesitate to address such a magnificent creature.
Imogen bowing to Sir Julian.
Mamma, I think that gentleman wishes to be presented to me. I have no objection, if you consider him a person I ought to know.
Lady Twombley kissing Imogen.
Oh, Julian, our sweet child.
Sir Julian Twombley taking Imogen's hand.
My dear.
Imogen with dignity.
I am pleased to make your acquaintance. I've heard you mentioned very kindly by my little friend, Imogen Twombley. Pray sit down, and I'll sit on your lap.
Imogen sits on Sir Julian's knee and puts her arm round his neck.
Oh, Papa, I have been so nervous.
I quite sympathise. I was shockingly nervous when I was presented.
Imogen rising hastily.
Mrs. Gayluster, I didn't see you.
Lady Twombley to Brooke and Lady Euphemia.
Dear old Lady Leake, whose wheels we locked in the park, said she had heard Imogen's name mentioned 50 times. Mrs. Charlie Lessingham declares nothing prettier has been seen since her own first season. And it's true, that's the best of it. I saw the child make her curtsy. I was determined I would. I entered the throne room just before her, and tumbled through anyhow, with one eye straight in front of me and the other screwed round towards my girl. There was a general shudder. It was at my squint.
I trust not, Catherine.
When I did get through, they gave me my train, as much as to say, if this belongs to you, take it home as soon as possible. But there I stuck in the doorway, not budging an inch. I didn't care how the officials whispered and waved and beckoned. I stood my ground. And then, Julian, then my breath nearly went from me, for I saw her coming. Effie, it was lovely. Brooke, you would have been proud of your sister. Her cheeks were like the outside leaf of a Duchesse de Vallombrosa rose, and her eyes like 2 dewdrops on the top of it, and she had just enough fright in her little heart to make her feathers tremble. Then she curtsied. Ah, if she had stumbled, I should have been by her side in an instant. Who would have blamed me? I'm her mother. But she didn't. No, she floated towards me, dipping and dipping and dipping, again and again, as smoothly and gracefully as a swan swimming backward.
Lady Twombley embraces Imogen.
I am too glad, Aunt Kitty.
Awfully satisfactory, what?
I remember Lady Liphook's daughter Miriam falling and rolling over in the season of '85.
Lor, how sorry I feel for anybody who isn't a mother. But I say, there's a bit that wants taking in there.
Pinching up the shoulder of Imogen's dress.
Gayluster, you must tell your woman Antoinette this won't do.
Oh, Lady Twombley, please.
Mrs. Gayluster puts her handkerchief to her eyes.
My dear, pray forgive me. I really forgot where we were.
Mrs. Gayluster to Lady Twombley, with a little sob.
You wouldn't hurt my feelings wilfully, I know.
Not for the world. But it's a little confusing, mixing up business with pleasure. Imogen, let Lady Effie and Mrs. Gayluster hear you play your lovely harp. But don't let the nasty thing hurt your fingers. Brooke, I want to speak to you.
Lady Euphemia and Imogen stroll out, followed by Mrs. Gayluster. Sir Julian Twombley, mournfully.
I'll dress now, Catherine, and go down.
Lord, Pa, don't speak as if you were thinking of our tomb at Kensal Green.
Competent authorities assure me there is quiet to be found in the tomb. I anticipate nothing of that kind where I am going tonight.
He goes out. Lady Twombley watches his going, then turns to Brooke sharply.
Well, have you got it?
Your
schedule.
Brooke hands his schedule to Lady Twombley.
There's a dear boy.
She turns over the leaves. Gradually her face assumes a look of horror.
Total 3,000.
She folds the schedule, puts it in her pocket, and faces Brooke fiercely with her hands clenched.
You imp!
She boxes his right ear soundly.
Mater!
You villain!
She boxes his left ear.
Don't, Mater!
3,000 pounds! 3,000 times I wish you had never been born.
She breaks down, puts her arms round Brooke's neck, and cries.
Oh, Brooke, my dear, forgive your poor mother's vile temper. I've made my Brooke's head ache. Oh, my gracious.
Don't fret, Mater. If you're on rather low at Scott's.
Scott's, Brooke? When I creep into that bank now and ask for my passbook, I have to hold on to the edge of the counter. I feel so sick and giddy.
Oh, very well then, Mater. I can wait. Mr. Nazareth of Burlington Street will accommodate me for a time. A couple of bills, you know, at 3 and 6 months. What?
Brookie, I've thought of those dreadful things for myself.
For yourself, Mater? Why, you can always get the right side of Pa.
Brookie, I must tell you, just now poor Pa has no right side.
Mater!
It's as much as the dear man can do to get a rattle out of his keys. For a long time, Brooke, we've all been outrunning the constable.
Really, Mater, I ought to have been consulted before.
I know, Brooke, but I couldn't face my boy's reproaches.
Pa must have been inexcusably reckless, what?
No, it's all my fault, every bit of it.
A pretty melody on the harp is heard.
Brooke, never marry a country-bred girl as your pa did. When he fell in love with me, I was content with 3 frocks a year. Think of that! And had to twist up my own hats. And I could have done it forever down at Cleverton. But I didn't stand the transplanting. Oh, I'll never forget how the fine folks snubbed me and sneered at me when I came to town. Brooke, my son, I declare to goodness that for 10 long years I never saw a nose that wasn't turned up. And then Pa got his baronetcy, and old Lady Drumdurris gave us her forefinger to shake, and that did it. But it was too late. I was spoiled by that time. I had been too long fishing for friends with dances and dinners and drags and race parties and all sorts of bait, And when the time came for a few people to like me for my own stupid, rough self, I'd got into the way of scattering sovereigns as freely as I used to sprinkle mignonette seed in my little garden at the Yale farm.
All this is very painful, Mater. What?
What a silly woman I've been, Brooke.
We're all thoughtless at times.
If I had but pulled in when Pa's Irish rents began to dwindle.
Why didn't you, Mater?
I don't know, but I didn't. I only prayed for better times and ordered Gillo to refurnish the dining room. Last season I got through £18,000.
Oh.
She twists him round, pointing to the walls of the conservatory.
And look at this sixpenny Algerian grotto I've stuck in the middle of the house. 7,450 this cost, not counting the hot water pipes.
Is it paid for?
Your dear Pa transferred the money for it to my account at Scott's, but I've gone and spent it on other things.
Mater!
Oh, my poor heart.
Well, Mater, any assistance I can render you in this emergency.
Ah, I know.
Seizing his hand and kissing it.
My Brooke, my comfort.
Probyn outside.
Lady Drumdurris, Dowager Lady Drumdurris.
Egidia and Aunt Dora.
Lady Twombley, wiping her eyes.
Your aunt mustn't see me upset. Brooke, don't think anything more of what I've told you. I've tumbled into the mud before now, but mud dries to dust, and I've always managed to shake it off. Dora!
The Dowager Countess of Drumdurris enters, a portly, rather formidable-looking lady of 45 or 50, in court dress and diamonds.
Well, Dora, are you tired?
I hope I am never fatigued in doing my duty to my family, Kate. Here is poor Egidia.
Egidia, Countess of Drumdurris, enters, a small, serious girl with a great deal of presence and dignity, also in court dress.
How do you do, Lady Twombley?
Why, poor Egidia! Aren't you well, dear?
Egidia received a telegram from Scotland this morning. Her son has cut his first tooth during her absence. Painfully.
Oh, dear.
You are also a mother, Lady Twombley. You can sympathize with such cares as those I am now endeavouring to sustain.
Lady Euphemia and Imogen stroll in.
Your boy is 5 months old, isn't he?
Fergus is precisely 5 months.
Well, there are 22 more teeth to come yet, you know.
Yes, I am schooling myself into that conviction. I am naturally, I hope, a woman of more than ordinary courage.
Robin appears at the entrance.
Lord Drumdurris.
The Earl of Drumdurris, a boyish-looking officer of the Guards in uniform, with much dignity and reserve, enters.
How do you do, Lady Twombley? Egidia.
Keith, you have further news from Scotland?
Another telegram.
Ah.
She puts her hand calmly in that of the Dowager.
Tell us, my son.
Another tooth.
Egidia closes her eyes. The Dowager kisses her upon the brow.
I offered Lady Macphail and Sir Colin the use of my brougham, but they preferred coming in on their chariot.
Lady Macphail and Sir Colin coming here?
Dowager to Lady Twombley.
I haven't told you what I've done. Keith?
Earl of Drumdurris, bowing.
Certainly.
He joins the others who are talking together. Dowager to Lady Twombley.
I have a motive. My whole life has been one vast comprehensive motive. Lady Macphail is the little woman to whom I introduced you on the stairs at the palace.
Well, but...
I encountered her again and delivered a message from you, begging her to come on here with Sir Colin to drink tea.
I never...
I know you didn't. My motive is this. She has just brought her boy to London.
Is he the great man in the kilt I saw holding on to her lappets?
Yes.
He's 30 if he's an hour.
He's more, but he is a fine example of the grand simplicity that exists in many Scottish families. Proprietor of 80,000 acres. Head of a great clan. Colin MacPhail of Belocheven remains a child attached to his mother.
Oh, I shall be very happy to...
Ah, you grasp my motive.
No, I don't.
Dowager in Lady Twombley's ear.
Imogen!
Imogen?
Imogen must make a match this season and marry before the year is out.
Why?
Don't deceive yourself, Kate Twombley. You are aware that Julian's position in the ministry is precarious?
You think so?
Everybody thinks so. It's my opinion they'll make a Jonah of him and cast him from them before many months are over. You know what that means.
Horrible! Julian giving up public life and settling down in some dismal swamp as a country gentleman. He has threatened it.
Very well, then. You must assure your children's future before the blow falls. What could you do for Imogen in the country?
A vicar or a small squire.
More likely a curate or a farmer. Will you resign yourself to that?
Never, Dora. I never will. I've had to swallow the husks of London, and my chicks shall have the barley. Julian shall hold on till they have made brilliant marriages.
Ah?
He shall. Afterwards, I'll go back to darning stockings with a light heart.
Well spoken, Kate Twombley.
Probyn appears at the entrance.
Sir Colin and Lady Macphail.
Dowager to Lady Twombley.
You see my motive?
Yes, Dora.
Lady Macphail and Sir Colin enter. She is a simple old woman in court dress, ecstatically sentimental. He, a formidable-looking bearded man, about 6 feet high, in full Highland costume, bashful and awkward in manner, and keeping close to his mother. Lady Twombley to Lady Macphail.
I am delighted to see you here.
Lady Macphail presenting Macphail.
My boy.
He shelters himself behind her and bows uneasily.
I have determined to give the lad a season in this mighty city, Lady Twombley.
Ah, he'll enjoy himself, I'm sure.
Nay, the Macphails never enjoy themselves in the south.
I'm very sorry. Perhaps they don't go the right way about it.
Already Colin's feet ache.
Do they?
Ache to press the heather again, searching for a sight of the red deer in the misty chasms of Ben Muchty, or the wild birds fluttering on the grey shore of Loch Nadoich.
Ah, very pretty country, I dare say.
Where would you be, Colin, at this hour of Castle Balakeven, watching the sun sink behind the black peak of Ben Avrachi? Speak, lad.
Macphail, sadly.
That is so, mother.
Do you do that every evening at home?
I?
Ah, a Macphail always feels like a seagull with a broken wing in the south.
You must take care you don't get him run over.
Probyn appearing at the entrance.
Tea is in the yellow room, my lady.
Drumdurris, Brooke, Egidia, and Lady Euphemia go out. Dowager introducing Imogen.
Lady Macphail, Sir Colin, my niece Imogen. Imogen, take Sir Colin to tea.
This way, Sir Colin.
Dowager to Lady Twombley.
You see my motive?
Imogen waiting for Macphail.
Tea is in this room, Sir Colin.
Macphail looking at Imogen, and then appealingly at Lady Macphail.
Come, mother.
Imogen, Macphail, and Lady Macphail go out. Dowager to Lady Twombley following the others.
He is impressed.
Sir Julian in evening dress enters with a letter in his hand.
Catherine! Catherine!
Pa?
I must speak to you.
But Dora has just brought a Highland youth here.
I can't help it.
What's wrong, Pa? How pale and waxy you look.
Sir Julian Twombley handing her the letter.
An urgent letter from old Mr. Mason, my solicitor, about my affairs.
Oh, Lor, Pa. Another?
You have it upside down.
Everything connected with our affairs will get that way.
Mason is imperative.
He insists upon your considering your pecuniary position.
What shall I do?
Accede to his request. Consider it.
But I am constantly considering it.
Hush, Pa.
No man's pecuniary position has ever demanded or received more consideration than my own. Day and night my pecuniary position lashes my brain into the consistency of a whipped egg.
Pa, be calm.
Kate, my pecuniary position interposes between me and grave public questions. My very spectacles are toned by it. It is in every blue book, in every page of Hansard, in the preamble of every bill.
Oh, dear Pa.
It sits with me in committees, accompanies me into the lobbies. It receives deputations, replies to questions in the House. It forms part of the deliberations of the Cabinet. It warps my political sympathies, it distorts my judgment, it obscures my eloquence, and it lames my logic.
Taking the letter from Lady Twombley.
And Mason asked me to consider it.
Leans his head on his hands. She sits on the arm of his chair.
Julian, you mustn't give way. Suppose the members of the opposition saw you like this.
Oh.
Think of those persons who sit, where is it, on the hatchway, or below the gangway, or some uncomfortable place. How rejoiced they'd be.
Shaking him gently.
Have courage, Julian. Perk up, Pa dear.
I cannot go on, Kitty.
Oh, don't say that.
Mason's letter decides me.
To do what?
Yield to a sentiment which I have reason to believe exists on both sides of the House.
Resign?
Resign my place in the ministry. Ask for the Chiltern Hundreds.
Oh!
Wind up my affairs in town.
Oh, no.
And seek peace in rural retirement.
You shan't, Pa. Oh, my gracious. You wouldn't be so heartless.
Heartless?
Lady Twombley, kneeling beside him.
Think of my blessed chicks, my babies. Don't go under, Julian, till we've given them the benefit of our magnificent position.
Our Mag...
Wait till my Brookie, our Brookie, has won some handsome, wealthy girl who is worthy of him. Hold on till Imogen has made a marriage that will make every true mother's mouth water. Then I'll settle down with you, alone, in a marsh. But don't sink into obscurity till the end of the year. I can do wonders by Christmas. Give me till then, Pa. Give me till then.
She throws her arms round his neck. Imogen's harp is heard again. Mrs. Gayluster enters.
The wretches! How they ignore me!
Seeing Sir Julian and Lady Twombley.
Ah!
Hiding herself behind a pillar, she listens.
But, if I desperately cling to public life a little longer, I must have money.
Of course you must have money. But, Julian, you must look to me for that.
You, Catherine?
You must think only of your value to the country, and leave the rest to your wife.
Kitty, you have made some little private hoard out of your allowance.
Lady Twombley sinking faintly onto the settee.
Well, Pa.
How prudent. How thoughtful.
Go to Dora. Make my excuses. I'll follow you when I've pulled myself together.
Yes.
Turning.
By the way, Kitty, Hopwoods have just sent in their bill for erecting this conservatory.
Lady Twombley clinging to the back of the chair.
Oh!
You remember I transferred, at your request, 7,000 some odd pounds to your account at Scott's when we projected the, pardonable little extravagance.
Yes.
Hopwoods can wait till midsummer. Perhaps you wouldn't mind letting me have the use of the money in the meantime?
No, certainly not.
A cheque any day this week.
All days are equally convenient.
Kitty, I will hold on till Christmas.
Thank you, Pa.
She turns to him suddenly.
Oh, Pa, Haven't
what, Kitty?
Nothing. Go to Dora.
He goes out.
Oh, where shall I turn for money? Where shall I turn for money?
Mrs. Gayluster advances and faces Lady Twombley.
Ah, Mrs. Gayluster.
Oh, Lady Twombley, I am in such distress.
Distress?
Mrs. Gayluster producing Lady Twombley's letter to Brooke.
I picked up a letter in the next room. I thought it was the note you wrote me about the plum-coloured peignoir, and that it had fallen from my pocket. I glanced at it. Oh, look!
She hands the letter to Lady Twombley.
Gracious!
But that is not the worst. It tells me that you are in trouble. You, the best friend I have in the world, my benefactress. Oh, what shall I do?
Hold your tongue about it.
Ah, why did I read it through?
Because you were a little curious, I'm afraid.
I shan't sleep for it.
Thank you. I can do all my own lying awake. Mind your own concerns for the future, Gayluster.
It is my concern, when I can help you.
You help me.
Ah, yes. Oh, let me, Lady Twombley. I don't ask to be confided in. I only ask to be allowed to bring my brother to see you. Tonight. Tomorrow.
Your brother?
Mr. Lebanon. My Joseph. I would trust him as I'd trust myself. I have known him do such things in the way of raising money upon what he calls personal and other security.
A money-lender?
Lady Twombley! Oh!
Does Mr. Lebanon help people in difficulties?
Oh, doesn't he?
Oh.
Will you see him, Lady Twombley?
Don't ask me. Perhaps.
Tonight?
Perhaps I tell you.
At what time?
9:30, sharp.
Mrs. Gayluster to herself.
Done.
Sir Julian enters with Lady Macphail, and the Dowager. Brooke follows with Drumdurris. Then, after an interval, Lady Euphemia, Egidia, and Imogen appear. Sir Julian Twombley to Lady Twombley, reproachfully.
My dear, Lady Macphail and Sir Colin are going.
Dowager to Lady Twombley.
You are neglecting them. What can be your motive?
Lady Twombley to Lady Macphail.
I hope Sir Julian has explained.
Certainly, but I must take my boy away. He dines at 6 to avoid late hours.
Imogen talks to Macphail. Dowager to Lady Twombley.
Look, they are talking.
Colin rises at 5 every morning.
Dear me, how awful.
He loves to watch the sunrise from the jagged summit of Ben Nafechan.
But there is no what-you-may-call-it, here.
No, but he sits upon the roof of our lodgings in Clarges Street. Goodbye, Lady Twombley.
They shake hands. Lady Twombley to Macphail.
Goodbye. You must come and see me on one of my Tuesdays.
I, with my mother.
He turns to Imogen, and they shake hands.
Goodbye, Sir Colin.
Dowager to Lady Twombley.
There again. Look.
Why, here's Valentine. Valentine!
Valentine?
Brooke brings on Valentine. Valentine White to Brooke.
Let me go. I was trying to find my way out.
Brooke Twombley to Lady Twombley.
Here's Valentine. Come back.
Valentine!
Imogen!
Oh, my dear Val! My dear old Val!
She rushes to him impulsively and flings her arms round his neck, at which the Dowager gives a cry of horror, and there is a general movement of astonishment. End of the first act. Act 2 of The Cabinet Minister by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The second act, Difficulties. The scene is a handsomely decorated and elegantly furnished morning room at Sir Julian Twombley's, with every evidence of luxury and refined taste. It is a July morning. Sir Julian is playing his flute. Mr. Melton, a good-looking, well-dressed young man, enters carrying a few sheets of paper.
Pardon me?
Sir Julian's flute gives a squeak.
Oh, Melton?
The arrangements for this morning are quite complete, Sir Julian.
The arrangements?
The arrangements for the opening of the new street.
Oh, to be sure. I opened a new street today. Why on earth shouldn't a new street be opened by a policeman during the night, quietly?
The Dowager Lady Drumdurris, fashionably dressed for out-of-doors, enters. Dowager in a flutter.
Julian, good morning. A glorious day for the ceremony. Mr. Melton, is everything arranged?
Mr. Melton bowing.
Everything.
I have a motive for asking. I, and my family, accompany Sir Julian and Lady Twombley to lend weight and support.
Mr. Melton to Sir Julian.
You leave here at 12, reach the new street at past. You speak from the cluster of lamps by St. Jude's Church.
Your speech will be terse, elegant, and vigorous, I hope, Julian.
I hope so. Have you written it, Melton?
Melton hands him the sheets of paper.
Thank you. The usual thing, I suppose.
Quite.
Thank you. There's nothing like the usual thing.
Referring to his speech.
By opening up these majestic avenues, London takes beer.
Air.
I beg your pardon. Takes air into her system and keeps her place in the race with her sister cities. Excellent.
Who will throw the bottle?
No one, I hope.
You're thinking of the christening of a ship, Lady Drumdurris.
Pardon me.
I have to see Superintendent Snudden now as to the police arrangements.
Dear me, you anticipate no pellets.
Hardly.
It's so unfortunate it isn't a wet day.
Julian.
An umbrella is such a safeguard.
I'll see that the carriage closes easily.
Thank you. And Lady Twombley might take an extra sunshade.
Melton goes out. The Dowager closes the door carefully after him. Sir Julian Twombley, reading.
I can conceive no position more agreeable to a minister of the Crown than that which...
Julian!
Dora?
You wonder why I'm with you at this early hour. I need hardly say I have a motive.
I suppose so.
Knowing that you were not going down to Browning Street this morning, and that Lady Twombley and Imogen were to take Euphemia shopping in Bond Street, I grasped the chance of seeing you alone. Julian, what has happened to your wife?
To Catherine?
There is a shocking change.
Recently?
It began 2 or 3 months ago. She's not the woman she was at the commencement of the season.
You alarm me. In what way?
every way. Her appearance.
I haven't noticed it.
Being her husband, it is natural you should not. Her variable temperament. At one moment she looks as if she would like to bury everybody, me especially. The next she is laughing in a manner I must designate as positively provincial.
Dora, you quite distress me.
I came early for that purpose.
Thank you.
Perhaps you resent my interference.
No, no.
It would not deter me if you did. The grand motive of my life is a firm, undeviating, persistent policy of practical interference. I am a social warrior. The moment I scent domestic carnage, I hurl myself into the milieu and plant my flag. Julian, my flag is planted in your household.
But I am aware of nothing disquieting to Catherine's peace of mind.
Don't tell me.
2 or 3 months ago there was a little difficulty.
Ah.
But it was mine, not Catherine's.
Yours?
Frankly, I was embarrassed for ready money.
Oh, dear.
But Catherine, who was really of an extremely thrifty nature, promptly placed her very considerable savings at my disposal, and the difficulty ceased.
It never struck me your wife was thrifty.
Nor me till that moment, which shows how liable the most careful observer is to error.
Resuming the study of his speech.
Pray excuse me.
Dowager to herself.
Ah.
She goes up to the window. Sir Julian Twombley studying.
I can conceive no position more agreeable to a minister of the crown, I'll go upstairs quietly, than that which I occupy upon this occasion.
He moves softly toward the door. The Dowager turns suddenly.
Julian.
Dora?
I don't like your wife's great friendship for Mrs. Gayluster.
Catherine finds her a bright companion.
Catherine has my companionship. It's true I can't cut a sleeve like that lady.
It is to be regretted that poor Mrs. Gayluster is forced to follow the modern fashion of increasing her income by devices formerly practised only by the lower middle classes.
She sticks pins in her bosom as though she relished it.
But, after all, Dora, Madame Morisset of Plunkett Street and Mrs. Gayluster, widow of Lord Bulpitt's son, are 2 very distinct persons. Excuse me.
He continues studying his speech.
But what was she before her marriage?
You must really give me notice of that question. I beg your pardon, I don't know.
This lady now walks into your house as if it were her own.
Ah!
Your wife is positively canvassing for invitations for her. Julian.
I shall be unprepared with my speech.
My family comes before everything.
Probyn enters.
Lord and Lady Drumdurris are inquiring for you, my lady.
Beg them to come here.
Probyn retires.
Ah, then, if you'll allow me...
No, Julian. This is another family matter of terrible importance.
My dear Dora!
Keith and Egidia approach you at this early hour at my instigation. I have a painful motive.
Oh, dear me.
Egidia enters dressed in fashionable walking costume, her face pale and troubled. Egidia sadly.
Sir Julian.
My dear Egidia, there is nothing amiss, I hope.
Everything is amiss, Sir Julian.
Julian, the relations between my son and his wife have become terribly strained.
No, no.
Indeed, yes.
I have done all in my power to relieve the horrible tension. If anything, I have made matters worse. My hope is now centered in you. Here is Keith.
Egidia sits upon a settee, staring before her. Drumdurris enters, looking much worried.
Ah, mother.
Grasping Sir Julian's hand with feeling.
Sir Julian.
He and his wife look severely at one another, and draw themselves up.
My dear Keith, what can I do for you?
Ha! Explain, mother.
Julian, my son and his wife have cordially agreed to refer their grave differences to your judgment.
Without binding ourselves to abide by Sir Julian's decision.
Naturally.
Pray, tell me the cause of dispute.
The future of their child.
Ah, yes.
The adjustment of the career he is to follow.
That is precisely it.
Dowager to Drumdurris.
Where is Fergus?
He accompanied us.
He is with Angèle in the next room.
Dowager calling at the door.
Angèle! Angèle!
Angèle outside.
Milady?
Bring Lord Aberbrothick here.
Angèle, a French nurse, characteristically attired, enters carrying a richly dressed infant. Drumdurris and Egidia look into its face together.
Figurez-vous, milord, qu'il a dormi pendant tout le trajet. Et puis, quand je suis descendue de voiture, il s'est réveillé en pleurant. Ah, mais en pleurant.
Give me Lord Aberbrothick.
She takes the child from Angèle.
Wait in the next room, Angèle.
Yes, milady. J'espère bien que monsieur le vicomte ne va plus crier, car ça pourrait faire de la peine à sa grand-maman.
Angèle goes out.
Now, Julian, this is the point. You see, Fergus, politics or the army?
Politics.
The army.
Pray speak, Julian.
Perhaps it would be rather precipitate.
I differ entirely. The child's intelligence must be directed into a particular channel from the beginning.
In that I hardly concur. For instance, the question of toys is already most urgent.
He is without playthings at present, so his mind is quite open.
You appear to have no views, Julian.
Lady Drumdurris, let Sir Julian look at the height and character of Fergus's brow.
Pray do. It's a soldier's forehead.
Julian?
She hands the infant to Sir Julian.
Thank you. Politics or the army?
Addressing the child in his arms.
My dear Fergus, take my advice, not politics.
Ah.
If you attach any trifling importance to veracity as a habit, not politics. If you would care at any time upon any subject to form your own opinions, and having formed them would wish to maintain them, not politics. If you desire to be of the smallest service to your fellow man, and if you would sleep as peacefully at 60 as you now sleep at 6 months, not politics.
Sir Julian.
The army.
Never.
This is most distressing.
Calling at the open door.
Angèle! Angèle!
Lady Twombley heard outside.
Why, Dora!
Catherine.
Lady Twombley enters with Imogen and Lady Euphemia in walking costumes.
How good of you to come early.
Kissing Egidia.
Egidia, dearest.
To Drumdurris.
Good morning, Keith. Ah, you've brought Fergus to see me. The angel.
With cries of delight, Lady Twombley, Imogen, and Lady Euphemia gather round Sir Julian and the baby.
Oh, the pet!
The mite!
He is too sweet.
Oh!
Brooke enters. Brooke Twombley shaking hands with Drumdurris.
Hello, what's the matter?
Earl of Drumdurris with dignity.
They are looking at my son.
Angèle has entered. She takes the infant from Sir Julian.
We've enjoyed a splendid hour in Bond Street. In and out of 20 shops, eh, girls?
Yes, Aunt Kate.
Yes, Mamma.
Bought all we could think of, and ordered the rest.
My dear!
Then why don't they abolish Bond Street? It's the crucible of London. Set your foot in it, and everything about you that's metal dissolves.
Aunt has been too extravagant this morning.
Extravagant? I? Oh, no. Only I dearly wish there was no such plague as money. If the little words "thank you" were the one universal current coin, What anxieties, what cravings, what follies some poor women would be spared! Why can't we buy choice stuffs at 3.5 thank yous a yard?
Oh, Aunt Kate.
Mamma!
It's nothing to laugh at. Ah, girls, if thank you paid for everything, being out of breath would be our only bankruptcy. Oh, my poor brain.
Imogen to Sir Julian.
Mamma has a bad headache today, Papa.
A headache? Never. Girls, what is it we bought and brought home with us? I forget.
We didn't buy him, Mamma. We met him. You mean Cousin Valentine?
Lady Twombley looking round.
Of course. Valentine. Where is he? Valentine.
Valentine enters very plainly dressed.
Mr. White.
Bowing stiffly.
How do you do?
Why, Val, what?
We met the poor boy outside the tourist ticket office in Piccadilly. He's off again tomorrow.
Off? Where to?
Egypt.
We shan't see him again for another 10 years, I suppose.
Oh, Mamma!
The odd creature has heard of a congenial tribe who reside in excavations cut in a rock. It'll end in my having a nephew who's a mummy.
Oh, don't!
Catherine, this child is not well.
Yes, I am, Papa. But I don't like the idea of parting with anybody or anything. Even a kitten.
Imogen, my dear.
Be quiet, Mamma.
The Dowager, Lady Euphemia, Gidia, and Angèle with the baby go out. Imogen runs after them. Sir Julian resumes the study of his speech. Lady Twombley opens some letters which are lying on the table. Brooke Twombley to Valentine.
I never knew such a queer chap. Come upstairs and tell us all about it, what?
Brooke, Valentine, and Drumdurris go out.
Oh!
Catherine?
It's all right, Pa. It's nothing.
To herself.
Gay luster.
Reading a letter.
I will accompany you and dear Sir Julian to the interesting ceremony of this morning. Pray keep me a seat in your carriage.
Threshing the letter in her hand.
Oh, the demon! The relentless demon!
I can conceive no position more agreeable to a minister of the crown.
Pa, dear, Mrs. Gayluster will go with us to the opening of the new street.
Catherine, are you sure that Mrs. Gayluster is quite...
Oh, quite.
If I were you, I should really think twice.
Oh, I can't.
Can't think twice?
I can't risk offending such a dear friend.
But, Catherine...
Understand me, Pa. She will sit in our carriage.
Then understand me, Catherine. I will not have my knees cramped by a lady whose social status is equivocal.
Oh, Julian, don't attempt to come between me and Mrs. Gayluster.
Catherine!
You will assist her into the carriage. You will help her to alight. When she arrives, you will be charmed to see her. When she leaves, you will be a mass of regret. You hear me?
This is a most extraordinary friendship.
It is an exceptional friendship. Pa, say you're delighted this great friend of mine is to be one of us today.
Well, to please you, my dear, of course,
Yes?
I am delighted.
Sir Julian Twombley to himself.
I see. I see the change in my wife that Dora spoke of.
Probyn enters with cards on a salver. At the same moment the Dowager enters and looks out of the window. Dowager to herself.
They are punctual.
Lady Twombley looking at the cards.
Lady Macphail and Sir Colin. Not at home. If ever a woman was out, I am.
Dowager to Probyn.
Stop.
To Lady Twombley.
Kate, what are you doing? This visit is planned by me.
Why?
I have a motive.
Oh, Dora.
Dowager to Probyn.
Lady Twombley will see Sir Colin and Lady Macphail here.
Probyn goes out.
Ah, then, if you'll allow me.
No, Julian. This is another family matter.
Another?
These people have called to formally propose for the hand of Imogen.
To propose?
Last night, at the ball of the Perth Highlanders, I danced the strathspey and reel with Sir Colin. In the excitement, I wrung from him an admission of his affection.
Pa, what shall we do?
Do? The head of the Clan Macphail. 80,000 acres. Julian?
Lady Twombley to herself.
If it would provide for Imogen before the smash.
If Imogen is a high-minded girl, she will be mad with delight.
Will she?
To herself.
And will she learn to look down on Pa and me when we are aged paupers?
Probyn enters.
Sir Colin Macphail, Lady Macphail.
Lady Macphail enters, dressed simply and quaintly in an old-fashioned silk gown, followed closely by Macphail, whose clothes are capacious and clumsy, and who seems very ill at ease. Probyn withdraws.
Dear Lady Macphail, Sir Colin.
Lady Twombley shaking hands with Lady Macphail and Macphail.
How do you do?
Eyeing Macphail.
Oh, dear.
Sir Julian Twombley shaking hands.
Delighted.
Lady Twombley to Macphail.
Pray sit down. You must be fatigued with last night's dance.
No Macphail is ever fatigued, but the poor lad feels like a caged eagle in the dress of the South.
I am sure it is most becoming.
Sit, lad.
Macphail sits, hitching up his trousers unhappily.
You know the object of our visit, Sir Julian?
Lady Drumdurris has hinted.
The boy is here to pour out the passionate torrent of his love for your child Imogen. Speak, Colin.
Macphail rouses himself, rises, and looks round.
Mother, you do it.
He resumes his seat.
Ah, if we were at Castle Ballakeevan, with the wind roaring round Ben Muchty, and the sound of the pipers playing by the shores of Loch na Doich, then you would hear Colin's voice rise loud and high.
As we are denied these obvious advantages, it is almost necessary to ask you to explain.
The lad has met your child on but 3 or 4 occasions.
Just 3 occasions, and a bit, Mother.
But he loves her with a love that only a Macphail can experience.
Of course, one would like to know precisely the kind of affection that is.
Naturally. Speak, Colin.
Macphail rises, embarrassed.
I love her well enough.
Bravely said.
Delightful.
To Sir Julian and Lady Macphail.
A grand nature.
Go on, Colin.
That's all, Mother.
He resumes his seat. Lady Macphail to Lady Twombley.
You've heard the lad?
Distinctly.
And we are all to meet next month as Lord Drumdurris's guests at Drumdurris Castle. It would be well if this engagement was settled at once.
Without delay.
The question, of course, is whether Imogen,
Whether Imogen can return the affection
which Sir Colin honours her by entertaining.
Has the lad your permission to pour into her ear such impassioned words as he has just uttered to us?
I think there can be no objection to that.
Certainly not.
When will your daughter grant him an hour for that purpose?
An hour?
3/4 will be enough, Mother.
Bravely said.
Charming.
When, Julian?
When?
When?
Imogen's voice is heard outside. Imogen calling.
Mamma, dear.
When? I suggest now. Here is Imogen.
Macphail rises hastily and awkwardly. Imogen enters.
Oh, I didn't know you had visitors.
Shaking hands with Sir Colin and Lady Macphail.
Sir Colin, Lady Macphail.
Now, Julian, leave them together. Catherine.
Imogen, my dear.
Imogen comes to Sir Julian. Lady Twombley, the Dowager, Lady Macphail, and Macphail talk together.
Talk to Sir Colin for a few moments while I look through my speech.
Certainly, Papa.
Sir Julian goes out.
What an awful task.
Taking a book from the table. Lady Macphail quietly to Macphail.
Colin, let her hear how a Macphail can love.
Kissing him.
My boy.
To the Dowager and Lady Twombley.
I'll drive round to Lady Macwhirter's and return. Leave them. Ah, the pipers shall play to the homecoming of a bride at Castle Ballakeevan.
She goes out.
Come, Catherine, think of it. To be the mother-in-law of the head of the Clon Macphail.
Dora, what's the use of a head with no tongue in it?
The Dowager and Lady Twombley go out. Macphail looks round uneasily. Macphail to himself.
Where's Mother?
Imogen to herself.
Oh, why do they leave us?
To Macphail.
Were you at the dance of the Perth Highlanders last night, Sir Colin?
I was.
Did you dance much?
I did.
Imogen to herself.
He must make the next remark.
Macphail nerving himself and rising suddenly.
Miss Twombley.
Sir Colin.
I just wish you had been there.
Do you? Why?
Because I'm thinking there was room for more people.
Oh, of course.
She goes to the window and looks out.
Lady Macphail is just driving away.
No.
Yes, there she goes.
Macphail goes hastily to the window and looks out. Macphail to himself.
Oh, Mother!
He goes out quickly, unnoticed by Imogen.
She has turned the corner, Sir Colin. Did you see her? Why, where is he?
Valentine enters. She does not see him.
Goodbye, Imogen.
She turns to him.
Ah!
Falteringly.
Why will you go away, Val?
You know my craze. Everything in this country is so stuck up.
Mamma's not stuck up, as you call it.
Her gowns frighten me. My first recollection of anything is Aunt Kitty in a print skirt at a wash-tub.
Hush! Don't, Val!
There now. You're horrified.
One doesn't wish everybody to know.
Then that's being stuck up, Imogen.
Then we differ.
Of course. Everybody does differ from me in this stuck-up country. Wish me goodbye.
Imogen looking away.
I presume my brother Brooke is stuck up also.
Well, he appears to have fallen into the starch after that wash of Aunt Kitty's.
Indeed. And Papa?
Oh, of course. He's ironed out by the House of Commons.
How very rude!
Laying her hand on his arm.
And am I altered, Val?
Altered? The change is heartbreaking.
Oh, how cruel!
Altered? Where are the tiny tea things with which you once played at making tea in your old schoolroom? Where is the hoop you used to trundle in Portman Square? The skipping rope Brooke and I turned for you till our arms nearly dropped from our shoulders? Where are the marbles I gave you? The top I taught you to spin? I say, where are these things and the jolly little girl who delighted in them?
Imogen with much dignity.
I think you're so violent that it isn't safe to speak to you. But I'll ask you one question.
Pray do.
Where is the good-tempered, curly-headed boy for whom I used to make the tea? The boy who taught me, very patiently, how to play the marbles and to spin the top?
You see him.
Oh, no. No, Val, no.
Imogen, you don't mean, at any rate, that I'm stuck up.
No, indeed. I think you're shockingly stuck down.
He turns away, hanging his head. She comes to him.
There. Now I've made you ashamed of yourself.
No, you haven't.
Then I will do so. Remain here. I will return in a moment. Don't stir.
She runs out.
Shall I run away? Ah, if she only knew how ardently I wish that she had changed still more, how I wish that she had grown quite unlovable, or I had forgotten how to love her. It's hopeless. I will run away.
He opens the door, and the Dowager peeps in.
May I come in?
Oh, certainly.
The Dowager enters. Dowager to herself.
What has become of them?
To Valentine.
Pardon me, have you seen my niece, Imogen?
She has just left this room.
With Sir Colin Macphail?
No, no.
A cab whistle is heard. Valentine looks out of the window. Dowager to herself.
Where is he? I shan't sleep till I know it is settled.
Here's Sir Colin, hailing a cab.
Oh, something must have happened.
She goes hastily towards the door. Valentine is in her way.
Let me pass, please. I have a motive.
She goes out as Imogen enters by another door, carrying a large old-fashioned box.
Valentine?
Why, what have you there?
A modern young lady's jewel casket. Open it, please.
Kneeling, he opens the box. Looking into the box.
Imogen! The tea things! I recognize them!
You see, I've never parted with my playthings, Val.
Valentine White dragging out a large faded, once gaudy doll.
And here's Rosa. I helped to cut out Rosa's mantle. Battered old Rosa.
Imogen taking the doll from him.
Don't! Old she may be, but her sex shall protect her from insult.
And here are my marbles, and the top. The skipping rope. Imogen, perhaps I've done you an injustice.
Do you think so?
I feared fashion had put your bright little nature into tight corsets. But I see.
Imogen replacing the toys in the box.
You see, Val.
I see you have some affection for the time when you were not Miss Twombley, but only little Jenny.
Oh!
Not that those dumb things prove much.
Oh, Val!
They prove their own existence, not the existence of little Jenny.
How unjust you are!
Perhaps, but your words and actions are so unlike.
Imogen wiping her eyes upon the doll's frock.
No, no.
I fancy we are children again when I hear you, but when I see your prim figure and stately walk, I miss the little girl whose hair never submitted to a ribbon or a hairpin.
Oh!
Impulsively she lets down her hair and disorders it wildly. Valentine White not observing her.
I miss the little Jenny with a tumbled frock.
She quickly disarranges her bow and sash.
The thoughtless romp who is generally minus one shoe.
Valentine!
She takes off a shoe and flings it away.
Jenny!
Now, play! Play marbles!
What?
Play marbles.
They go down upon their knees. She deliberately arranges the marbles for the game, he staring at her blankly.
My mark, play!
I beg your pardon, Jenny. I've been all wrong.
You have indeed, Val. Play!
He plays seriously.
Not within a mile of it.
My eye is quite out.
My turn.
By Jupiter, you're still a crack at it.
Am I? Then which of us has changed, you or I?
She lays her hand on his.
Val, don't go away and live in a rock.
What am I to do? I'm poor Jenny, and I suppose I'm crazy.
Any sort of horrid life would suit you, wouldn't it?
I suppose it would.
Then ask Lord Drumdurris to make you a bailiff or head gamekeeper at Drumdurris.
Not rough enough.
Why, you could get dreadfully dirty and wet through there every day.
That's true.
And, Val, we're all going up to Drumdurris next month.
Are you?
Yes, and if you like, I'll bring the marbles.
Brooke enters.
Imogen! Oh, I say, what?
Do you ever play marbles now, Brooke?
Drumdurris enters.
Marbles? No, billiards.
Valentine collects the marbles and puts them into the box. Imogen to Drumdurris.
Keith? Oh, Keith, do me a favour.
Certainly.
Offer my poor cousin, Mr. White, some post in or about Drumdurris Castle.
What kind of post?
Some wretched, inferior position, in which he needed to be very polite.
What will you say if I propose such a thing?
He'll be extremely rude, I think. But, oh, I shall be so grateful, Keith.
Lady Twombley enters.
Imogen, child, what has happened to your head?
I've been playing marbles, Mamma.
Not on your head.
No, Mamma, upon the floor.
With Sir Colin?
Certainly not, Mamma. I don't know Sir Colin nearly well enough to sit with him upon the floor.
Putting up her hair.
Darling, has Sir Colin made any remark of an interesting nature?
No. He stammered a little, and, while my back was turned, he ran away after his mammy.
Lady Twombley to herself.
I knew it. Oh, why didn't we lock him in till he had provided for my poor child's future?
Probyn enters.
Mrs. Gayluster is here, my lady.
Oh, that person!
Imogen snatches up the box of playthings and hurries out. Mrs. Gayluster enters. Probyn retires. Mrs. Gayluster to everybody.
How do you do? How do you do? Lord Drumdurris, charmed to see you. How are you, Brooke?
Brooke Twombley to himself.
Brooke, impudence.
You look bilious, Kate.
She kisses Lady Twombley, who sinks on to the settee. Brooke Twombley to Drumdurris.
It's too bad of the mater. Fancy a fellow making a chum of his tailor, what?
Mr. White, may I speak with you?
Brooke, Drumdurris, and Valentine go out. Mrs. Gayluster examining the flute.
Pa has been tootling again, Kate. We must buy him a drum.
Ah.
Hello? What's the matter?
As if you didn't know. Oh, those awful bits of paper.
Ah, still worrying about those little bills of yours which my brother Joseph holds, eh?
Those bills. Why doesn't the ink fade that's on them? Or the house burn that holds them?
Impossible. Joseph and I have been taught to believe that there is a special providence watching over all bills of exchange. Come, don't fume. Bill number 1 doesn't fall due till next month.
Oh, Gayluster, I shan't be able to meet it.
Shan't you? Well, I dare say Joe and I will renew, if you make much of us and pet us. Meanwhile, don't think of the bills.
Think of 'em? I eat them. They're on every menu. I drink them. They label the champagne. My pillows are stuffed with them, for I hear their rustle when I turn my restless head. Small as those strips of blue are, they paper every wall of my home.
I should drive out, then, as much as possible.
When I do, the sky is blue.
Mrs. Gayluster carelessly taking up a newspaper.
At what time do we leave here?
Sir Julian and I start at 12.
See that I'm not squeezed up in the carriage. I don't play at sardines in this gown.
Oh.
Talking of sardines, I shall lunch here today en famille.
Gayluster, you fiend! I can't stand it.
Don't quite see how you're going to get out of it.
It's true. I owe that brother of yours thousands.
Well, we have kept your establishment going for some time.
But I don't owe you as much as a linen button.
Joe and I are one.
No, I'll never believe that a man, even a moneylender, would dance a set of devilish quadrilles on a lady when she's down, as you're doing. I saw your brother on that one fatal night. Common person that he is, he must have a heart under his vulgar waistcoat.
Be careful. Don't insult my Joe.
I compliment him. I will appeal to him to protect me from your claws, Gayluster.
Oh, you will you?
I will.
Very well, then. Do it. Kate Twombley, go to that door and call my brother Joe.
What?
Do it.
What do you mean?
Open that door and call Joe.
No.
She opens the door and looks out.
You are only frightening me.
Call Mr. Lebanon.
Mr. Lebanon.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon outside.
Hey!
Lady Twombley utters a cry of horror as Mr. Joseph Lebanon enters. A smartly dressed, unctuous, middle-aged person of a most pronounced common Semitic type, with a bland manner and a contented smile.
Lady Twombley, delighted to find myself in your elegant house. Most recherche.
Oh, how do you come here?
Fan brought me.
How dare she?
How dare she? Fan, I hope and trust not a coolness between you and Lady T.
Lady Twombley sinks into a chair.
She was dying to see you. There's no pleasing her.
Dying to see me? Flattered.
He sits in close proximity to Lady Twombley.
Dear Lady T, you and I and nobody by, eh? Excuse my humour. How can I have the honour of serving you? Don't hesitate, Lady T, don't hesitate.
I only wanted to beg you to rid me of that viper.
That's going a little too far.
There is a coolness, a trifling temporary coolness. Fan, be reasonable. Lady T, be forgiven. Kiss and be friends.
I know that you've got me, what's the expression, on something or another.
I hope toast is not the word you require, Lady Twombley.
Oh, yes, on toast.
Oh, Lady T.
I know that if I can't meet those awful bills, you can drag my name into the papers and set all London grinning for a month.
Oh, Fan, is that my way of doing business?
If you're a nice, honest man, as you look, you'll take her away and never, either of you, show your faces here again.
Lady T, now we come to the aim and object of the morning call, which I have the happiness of making on you. Fan, you haven't explained to Lady T. You really must cut in.
I shan't. Explain yourself.
Lebanon rises, replacing his chair.
My dear Lady T, the long and short of it is that Fan and I have considerable social ambition.
You too? Not you.
And why not? Fanny, cut in.
Go on, Joe dear.
Lady Twombley, it's been the desire of Fan and self ever since that period of our lives which I may describe as our checkered childhood, to reach the top of the social tree. Lady Twombley, you'll pardon my remarking that you are a little trying. I say Fan and I desire to reach the top of the social tree where the coconuts are. Excuse my humour. Fan's had a whirl or two in the circles of fashion.
She, a hanger-on to the skirts of society.
And very good skirts too when she makes 'em.
Joe, drop that.
Excuse my humour, Fan. As for me, from those early boyhood days when I made temporary advances of halfpence to my sister Fanny, promptly and without inquiry, I have devoted myself to finance.
Finance?
But now, Lady T, to use a poetic figure, I am prepared to cut an 8 on the frozen lake of gentility.
Man.
I ignore that innuendo. Lady Twombley, I am aware that for a successful entree into society I require a substantial guarantee. I have therefore the honour and the happiness to put myself under your sheltering and I hope sympathetic wing.
You will drive me mad. You won't dare to call here, to contaminate my bell-handle, to send up your hideous name.
Oh, Fan, I really can't. This is descending to a mere wrangle. Pray cut in.
No, Lady Twombley. As the season is drawing to a close, Joseph certainly does not intend to attach himself to your London establishment.
Not for Joseph, excuse my humour.
But he and I do mean to take our flight from town with the rest of the swallows.
Pointing to a paragraph in the journal he still carries.
Look here. We saw this paragraph in the paper yesterday. Read it.
Lady Twombley knocks the paper to the ground.
Insolent.
Joe, pet, read it.
Fanny, this is really most trying.
Picking up the paper and reading.
There are already signs of an exodus from town. Among the first of the notabilities to turn their faces northward are Sir Julian and Lady Twombley, who will spend the autumn at Drumdurris Castle as the guests of their nephew, Lord Drumdurris.
What is this to you?
What's that to us?
Fan, what's that to us? Lady Twombley, we entertain a not unreasonable desire to spend our autumn at Drumdurris Castle.
In the kitchen?
Oh, Fan, I really can't. You must cut in again.
As the guests of Lord Drumdurris.
Never.
Bill number 1 falls due next month when you are at Drumdurris Castle.
Nah, Fan, do not mix up business with friendship. You know my rule.
Get us to Drumdurris, and we renew.
Oh, Fanny, how plainly you put it. Don't.
Never.
Mr. Milton enters.
The carriages are here, Lady Twombley.
I'll come.
Drumdurris enters, talking to Valentine. Imogen, Lady Euphemia, and Brooke follow. Then Egidia and Angèle with the infant. Mr. Joseph Lebanon to Lady Twombley.
Introduce me.
Never.
Mrs. Gayluster to Lady Twombley.
Introduce him.
I will not.
Lady Twombley.
He produces his pocket-book, opens it, and gives her a glimpse of the bills.
The bills? Oh!
She makes a futile snatch at the pocket-book.
Lady Twombley, introduce me.
Sir Julian enters, intent upon his speech, the manuscript of which he carries in his hand. Sir Julian Twombley to himself.
I can conceive no position more agreeable to a minister of the crown.
Seeing Lebanon.
Eh?
Mrs. Gayluster whispering to Lady Twombley.
No. Julian, Lord Drumdurris, Brooke, let me introduce to you Mr. Lebanon.
Mrs. Gayluster triumphantly to herself.
Ah!
Mr. Joseph Lebanon triumphantly to himself.
Ah!
Lebanon grasps Sir Julian's hand warmly.
Delighted to find myself in your elegant house, most recherche.
Shaking hands with all the others.
You all know my sister Fan. Elegant house, this, most recherche.
Mrs. Gayluster runs to Sir Julian, and taking a flower from her dress, fastens it in his coat. Dowager outside.
Catherine!
The Dowager enters with her arm through Macphail's, Lady Macphail following.
I found the truant. He had a motive.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon, quietly to Mrs. Gayluster.
Who's the Judy?
Mrs. Gayluster to Lebanon.
Old Lady Drum.
Ah!
Turning to the Dowager and seizing her hand.
Delighted. Hope to have the pleasure of meeting you up north.
Catherine!
There is a general expression of astonishment, and Lady Twombley sinks upon the settee. End of the second act. Act 3 of The Cabinet Minister by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The third act, Disaster. The scene is the inner hall at Drumdurris Castle, Perthshire, leading on one side to the outer hall, and on the other to the picture gallery. It is solidly and comfortably furnished, and a fire is burning in the grate of the large oaken fireplace. It is an afternoon in August. Imogen is sitting at the table reading over a letter she has written.
Dear Mr. White, I shall never call him Valentine again, except in my thoughts.
Reading.
Dear Mr. White, I am sorry to hear that you are discontented with your recent appointment to the Deputy Assistant Head Gamekeepership on the Drumdurris estate, and that you consider it a sinecure fit only for a debilitated peer. Now for it.
Resuming.
Permit me to take this opportunity of informing you that I have at length consented to an engagement between myself and Sir Colin Macphail of Balacheven. Oh, how awful it looks in ink!
Resuming.
As it is becoming that I should support such a position with dignity, I would prefer not encountering your dislike to stuck-up people by ever seeing you again. Oh, Val. I therefore suggest that you obtain a nastier appointment than that of Deputy Assistant Head Gamekeeper at Drumdurris without delay. That will do. Beautifully.
In tears.
Oh, Val, why have you never spoken? I know you are poor, but I would have gone away with you and lived cheerfully and economically in that rock if you had but asked me. Why have you never asked me?
She sits on a footstool looking into the fire. Brooke, in shooting dress, strolls in with Lady Euphemia. They do not see Imogen. Brooke Twombley, coolly.
Well then, Effie, I suppose I may regard our engagement as a fixture, what? I needn't say you find me an excellent husband.
Thanks awfully, but perhaps you had better mention the subject to me again at some other time.
Well, I shall be rather busy for the next week or two.
Oh, quite as you please.
Giving him her hand.
But you are really too impetuous.
Not at all.
About to kiss her.
You'll permit me, naturally.
Lady Euphemia Vibart languidly turning her cheek toward him.
Of course. Be careful of my hair. It will not be dressed again before lunch.
He kisses her cheek cautiously. Imogen rises without seeing them. Lady Euphemia Vibart to Brooke.
Somebody.
They stroll away in opposite directions.
After all, as he has never been a lover, why shouldn't I see him and mention my engagement in a calm, cool, ladylike way?
Tearing up the letter passionately.
I must see him once more. In a calm, cool, ladylike way. I'll write just a line, asking him to come to me this morning.
As she sits to write, Lady Euphemia and Brooke stroll in again and meet each other. Lady Euphemia Vibart to Brooke.
Good morning.
Brooke Twombley to Lady Euphemia.
Good morning.
Why, it's Imogen. Oh, let me congratulate you.
Kissing her.
The news is too delightful.
Thank you.
Accept my congratulations also. Splendid fellow, Macphail. Not one of those men who talk the top of your head off.
Imogen writing.
No, not quite. Brooke, dear, will you give Mr. White a little note from me?
Certainly. By the by, what I think of it, you'll be glad to hear that Effie has honoured me by consenting to, marry me, what?
Effie?
How your mind does run on that subject, Brooke.
Imogen throwing her arms round Lady Euphemia's neck.
What happy people, both of you!
My hair!
Imogen kissing Brooke.
1,000 congratulations, my dear, clever old brother!
The bother with Mamma will be too wearying.
Why a bother?
About my pecuniary position, don't you know? You'll hardly credit it, but I haven't the least idea what Pa intends to do for me.
But it doesn't matter about that, so that you are deeply attached to each other.
Oh, Imogen, that's too ridiculous.
Quite absurd, what?
Besides, if you want money, you can work.
Oh, it's no good everybody working. It's this stupid all-round desire to work that throws so many men out of employment. I'll look for Valentine.
Imogen gives him her note.
He's sure to be about. We're going to shoot over Clegg Moor this morning.
He goes out.
So you've made up your mind at last?
No, other people have made it up for me.
Mamma?
Yes, Aunt Dora is the principal person who has rendered my life a burden to me.
Oh, Imogen.
It's true. Every hour of the livelong day, Aunt Dora has goaded me onto this desirable, detestable match. Even at night, she has stalked into my room with a lighted candle, startling me out of my beauty sleep, to tell me she will never rest till I am Lady Macphail.
Imogen, it's too kind of Mamma to take this interest in you.
Interest? It's torture. And at last she threatened that if I married anybody else, she would expire in great pain and appear to be constantly a ghost in her nightgown. Well, you've seen Aunt Dora in her nightgown. You can guess my feelings.
And that decided you?
I went to Mamma and asked her advice.
I guess what that was.
Mamma's expression was that she'd give the heels of her best shoes to see me provided for. And so, late last night, while my maid Phipps was washing my head, I gasped out a soapy sort of yes.
The Dowager enters.
Where is Imogen?
Here, Mamma.
Dowager embracing Imogen.
My favourite niece. I have just learned your decision over the breakfast table. I was eating cold grouse at the moment. I thought I should have choked.
I hope you are satisfied, Aunt.
Thoroughly. I feel now that I shall die, a great many years hence, a contented woman. Effie?
Yes, Mamma?
Don't think you're a neglected child. I cannot provide for everybody at once.
No, Mamma.
But having completely settled Imogen, I shall commence the adjustment of your future after lunch.
Lady Macphail enters.
Ah! Dear Lady Macphail, what glorious news!
Lady Macphail rapturously with her hand upraised.
No, let the worn banner of the Macphail be run up on the crumbling tower of Castle Ballachaven.
Certainly, by all means.
No, let the roar of the pipes startle the eaglets on the summit of Black Ben Muchty.
I hope such arrangements will be made.
Let the shriek of the wild birds resound on the shores of Loch Nadoich.
Dowager bringing Imogen forward.
But you haven't seen Imogen yet.
Lady Macphail embracing her.
Child, Ah, when Colin learns your answer to his suit, you shall listen to such words as none but a Macphail can utter to his betrothed.
Doesn't he know?
Not yet. He went out early to watch the sun gild the grey peak of Ben Ochter.
Lady Twombley enters looking very troubled.
Mamma?
Lady Macphail, the Dowager, and Lady Euphemia talk together.
Mamma, everybody has congratulated me. Have you nothing to say?
Lady Twombley places her hand fondly on Imogen's head. Lady Twombley in a sepulchral voice.
Did Phibbs dry your head thoroughly last night?
Yes, Mamma.
Then all's well, I suppose.
Sir Julian's flute is heard. To herself.
The first bill due next week.
She sits staring at the fire as Sir Julian enters playing the flute.
Papa!
Imogen, my dear, amidst severe official worries, I must not omit to join in the general paean of rejoicing.
Thank you, Papa.
Sir Colin may lack that inexhaustible flow of anecdote with which I have often been credited.
He may, Papa.
But I confess I respect a man who will sit for hours without saying anything. I wish there were more like him in the house.
Julian, let the newspapers have details of Imogen's engagement without delay.
Oh, no, Aunt, not yet.
Imogen, if I may use such an expression, for lol. Suffice it, I have a motive.
But why the papers?
It is our duty to our friends. Do you think if anything serious happened to me, my friends wouldn't like to hear of it? Without delay? Julian.
Sir Julian writes.
Besides, it will be current talk at the dance tomorrow night.
The dance? Aye, tomorrow night they shall see a Macphail lead the Strathspey with the girl who is to be his bride.
No, indeed they won't.
What?
I can't make myself so supremely ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Oh, Imogen.
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 My dear.
Lady Macphail closes her eyes. Sir Julian and the Dowager take her hands.
My dear Lady Macphail.
Here is Sir Colin.
Ah, my boy.
Why, he is with Mrs. Gayluster.
That woman.
That woman.
That woman.
That woman.
Macphail enters with Mrs. Gayluster, he in Highland dress, she wearing a showy costume of tweed tartan with a Scotch bonnet.
Colin, lad.
Mother?
Dear Sir Colin gave me his arm to the top of Ben Ochter.
To the top of Ben Ochter?
Macphail with an anxious glance at Mrs. Gayluster.
Just to see the sunrise.
Dowager quietly to Sir Julian.
Julian, that's scandalous.
I thought you always witnessed the sunrise alone, Colin.
As a rule, Mother.
Dowager to herself.
That woman has a motive.
Lady Macphail pointing to Imogen.
My son, look, here is Imogen.
Macphail to Imogen.
Good morning.
Colin, lad, don't you guess?
No, Mother.
Lady Macphail rapturously.
No, let the worn banner of the Macphail be run up on the crumbling tower of Castle Ballachaven.
Macphail vacantly.
For what reason, Mother?
Now let the shriek of the wild birds sound on the shores of Loch na Doich.
Why?
Lady Macphail embracing Macphail.
Imogen is to be your bride.
Macphail blankly.
Oh.
Sir Julian, the Dowager, and Lady Euphemia congratulate him.
Most gratified.
I have a mother's yearnings toward you.
We are too rejoiced.
Mrs. Gayluster to herself.
They've hooked him.
Lady Macphail bringing Macphail down.
Hush! Speak to her, Colin, lad. Let her hear how Macphail greets the woman of his choice.
Lady Macphail joins Sir Julian, the Dowager, and Lady Euphemia, while they all watch Macphail as he approaches Imogen.
Listen!
Macphail to Imogen.
I'm very much obliged to you.
Bravely spoken.
A grand nature.
Thank you, Sir Colin.
She joins the others. Mrs. Gayluster to Macphail, seizing his hand.
May your life be very, very blissful.
Macphail uneasily withdrawing his hand.
Mother's looking.
He joins the rest. Mrs. Gayluster to herself.
They've hooked my Scotch salmon, but they haven't landed him yet.
Intercepting Lady Twombley as she advances toward the group.
Kate!
Reptile.
I'm not at all satisfied with the way things are going on here.
Aren't you? I think things are beautifully smooth.
I'm pretty comfortable at Drumdurris myself, thank you. But I'm getting extremely anxious about Joseph.
Oh, so am I.
I'm afraid Joseph isn't enjoying his little holiday at all. Did you observe him at dinner last night?
Who could help it? The man eats enough for 6.
He's obliged to, his holiday being so brief. But these fine folks treat him as contemptuously as if he were a snail in a cabbage.
Then why does he talk with the leg of a grouse sticking out of the side of his mouth? Why does he drink people's health across the table and call the manservants old chaps?
Dear Joe, there's nothing classy about him.
Drumdurris in shooting dress enters carrying a light wooden box.
Why does he swallow his knife and build pyramids with his bread and tell long stories with no meaning at all, or else with 2?
Well, you must take Joe as heaven made him, so you'd better make things smooth for him with Lord Drumdurris. If not...
If not?
If not, Joe might, after all, decline to renew.
Oh!
And then there would be the devil to pay, wouldn't there?
As far as I can see, there are 2 devils to pay already.
Aha! Here's Drumdurris. Remember.
After talking to the others, Drumdurris approaches Lady Twombley, bowing stiffly to Mrs. Gayluster, who shakes her fist behind his back. Lady Twombley gives a small nervous shriek.
Aunt?
Lady Twombley, with her hand to her heart.
Spasms.
Mrs. Gayluster, smiling sweetly at Drumdurris.
Delightful morning.
She takes up a newspaper. Sir Julian and Lady Euphemia stroll out. Lady Twombley to Drumdurris.
Keith, dear, I want to say a word to you about dear Mr. Lebanon.
Aunt?
Have patience, Keith.
Patience.
When I begged you to entertain him at Drumdurris, I didn't deceive you. I distinctly told you he was one of nature's noblemen.
I would do much to please you, Aunt Kate. But this individual and his sister...
You must follow the democratic tendencies of the age, Keith. The peer must go hand in hand with the pig.
Yes, but let it be a companionable, clubbable pig. Oh, I have just left him at the breakfast table.
Is he making a tolerable breakfast this morning?
He seems to be making every breakfast in Great Britain.
I see him at it.
He consumes enough coffee to put fire out.
Yes, and he swoops down on a cold bird like a vulture.
It's hideous to see him hurl himself at an omelette.
I know, and with eggs he's a conjurer. What's he engaged on now?
When I left him, he was an unrecognizable mass of marmalade. He must go.
Don't disregard the sacred laws of hospitality.
I must. At another time I might endure him, but now I am utterly crushed by my own agonizing trouble. Hark!
What's the matter?
My son.
Angèle appears with the infant. Angèle mysteriously.
Is it all right, my lord?
Hush.
To Lady Twombley.
Is Egidia there?
Sir Julian and Lady Euphemia re-enter.
No.
Lady Twombley joins Sir Julian and Lady Euphemia. Earl of Drumdurris to Angel.
All right.
Fondly to the infant.
My soldier boy.
Angel advances to Drumdurris. He produces a small toy gun and a little drum from a box he carries and hands them to Angel.
Don't let Lady Drumdurris discover these.
No.
Above all, let the drum be muffled.
Yes, my lord.
Egidia enters.
I expect some small cannon by the evening post. Go.
Egidia comes between Angel and Drumdurris, the dowager following.
Ah.
Oh, milady.
I am right, then.
She takes the toys from Angel and points to the door. Angel withdraws with the infant.
Keith, Egidia, don't disagree here.
Egidia to Drumdurris.
I was loath to credit you with such treachery.
Name some convenient hour to disagree this afternoon. I will willingly be present.
I have long suspected this conspiracy to anticipate my son's mature judgment. Keith, there is a gulf between us which can never be bridged over.
Egidia joins the others.
Mother, my life is wasted.
Valentine, roughly dressed in cords and gaiters, enters, followed by Brooke.
Are you ready, Lord Drumdurris?
We are waiting, I presume, for Mr. Lebanon.
I'll go and stir him up. Ugh, what?
Brooke goes out.
You'll not join us, Sir Julian?
I daren't. Melton has arrived from town with a mass of papers for my signature.
Quietly to Drumdurris.
The Rajputana Canal question is wearing me out.
Valentine White whispering to Imogen.
I have your note. I'll return in a few minutes.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon outside.
Shooting, my dear sir. When I was in the South Hampstead Artillery, I could have shown you what shooting was.
There's Joe.
She goes out to meet Lebanon.
Ugh, that man.
That man.
Ugh, that man.
Ugh, that man.
That man.
Ugh, that man.
That man.
Oh, that man.
That man.
All gather into groups as Lebanon, looking very ridiculous in Highland costume, enters, followed by Brooke. Mr. Joseph Lebanon, slapping Macphail on the back.
Mac, dear old boy, haven't seen you this morning.
Macphail turns away distrustfully.
Lady Mac, I hear delightful whispers.
Sir?
An approaching happy event. We're like the doves. We're pairing off, eh? We're pairing off.
Lady Macphail stares at him and turns away. He wipes his forehead anxiously.
It's a little difficult to keep up a long conversation with them. They're not what I'd term rattlers.
Eyeing Egidia.
The fair hostess. Ahem. We missed you at the breakfast table, Lady Drum. Can't congratulate you on your peck. Excuse my humour.
Egidia stares at him and joins Lady Macphail. To himself.
They're a chatty lot. I must say they're a chatty lot. I wish Fanny'd stick by me and cut in occasionally. Here's Lady T. She can't ride the high horse at any rate. Lady T!
Mr. Lebanon.
You didn't honour me with my game of crib last night.
I had a headache.
Never had an headache in me life. Dunno how it's spelt.
It's spelled with an H.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon to Lady Euphemia, offering her flowers from his coat.
Lady Effie, me floral offering.
Lady Euphemia catches up her skirts and sweeps past him. To himself.
Chatty, eh? Chatty.
He comes face to face with the dowager, who glares at him. Offering her the flowers.
I had these picked for you, by Jove I did. A present from Joseph.
What, sir?
Mr. Joseph Lebanon, replacing the flowers in his coat.
Excuse my humour.
Wiping his brow again.
Chatty, I do wish Fan had cut in and come and help me.
Slaps Sir Julian on the shoulder.
Twombley, old fellow.
Sir.
Not coming out with us today, eh?
No.
Getting past it, I suppose.
I am kept indoors by pressure of work, Mr. Lebanon.
Oh, of course, the Rajputana Canal question, eh? I'm a big shareholder in the Rajputana Railway, you know. I say, tell me.
I cannot discuss official matters with you.
Sir Julian turns from him. Mr. Joseph Lebanon to himself as he sits down.
Chatty. I know what this'll end in. It'll end in my standing on my dignity. Where's Fanny?
Addressing the others.
Talking about shooting, I'll tell you an amusing little story.
Sir Julian Twombley to Lady Twombley and others sotto voce.
No.
It's all about myself.
Brooke Twombley whispering to the others.
Goodbye. We're off.
There is a general movement. The ladies and Sir Julian saying goodbye to the shooters, unnoticed by Lebanon, who has his back to them.
I was spending a day or two down in Essex with me old friend Captain Boulder, South Hampstead Artillery. Dear old Tom, great favourite with the girls, excuse my humour.
Lady Twombley, Imogen, Lady Euphemia Vibart, Sir Julian Twombley, Lady Macphail, and Dowager, quietly to the shooters.
Goodbye.
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 It was wildfowl Tom and I were after. We were lying in a ditch waiting for the ducks to drift in with the tide.
As Lebanon continues his story, all the others gradually and quietly disperse.
I counted 57 birds through me glass. So said I to Tom, Tom, I'm in deuced good form, me boy. Devil you are, said Tom. And I lay you pony to a penny that 15 of those birds fall to my gun. Done, says Tom.
He is now alone in the room.
Well, to make a short story a long one, excuse my humour, Tom sneezed. Up I got, so did the ducks, and then what the deuce do you think happened? I say, what the deuce do you think?
Discovering that he is alone.
Well, chatty, ain't they? Chatty.
Mrs. Gayluster enters.
Joe, why aren't you with the shooters?
Why, they hooked it when I was telling 'em the tale of Tom Boulder and the ducks.
Never mind, my pet.
It's rude, that's what it is. It's just rude.
Come along. We'll walk on to the moor.
What are you going to, Fan?
Yes, dear. Your poor Fanny has a little bit of fun on.
Oh, Fan, if only I had your confidence, your push. But the rudeness of these people is getting on me nerves.
Why, Joseph.
I feel a little hurt, Fan. A little hurt.
Valentine enters.
Mr. Lebanon.
Oi, where are they?
Just starting in the drag. Be quick!
Mr. Joseph Lebanon to Mrs. Gayluster.
Come on, they shall hear about Tom Boulder and the ducks before I'm done with them. Come on.
Mrs. Gayluster and Lebanon hurry out. Mr. Joseph Lebanon outside.
Hey! Hey!
That fellow was born to hail an omnibus.
Imogen appears. Imogen not seeing Valentine.
Will he be long?
She encounters him.
Oh! You are not neglecting your duties, I hope, Valentine?
I shall follow the others in the cart. Your note was marked urgent.
Was it?
Valentine White showing her letter.
Urgent.
What a thoughtless habit it is to mark all one's letters urgent. All I wanted to say to you is this, but it isn't urgent.
No, I understand that.
I merely had a foolish desire to be the first to acquaint you of my undeserved happiness.
What happiness don't you deserve?
The happiness of becoming Lady Colin Macphail, Valentine.
Oh, is that all?
That's all. Just at present.
Ha! You'll be a fine lady now, past recovery.
I shall endeavour to adequately fill the station of life to which fate has called me.
All that sweet simplicity of yours in London was purely an assumption, I suppose.
Things are what they appear.
But you have your heart's desire at last, I presume?
I presume I have.
Valentine White, burying his head in his hands.
Oh.
What are you going to do next?
Japan.
Nice part of Japan?
The murderous districts.
Oh. Then you don't propose to return alive?
Not according to my present arrangements.
You'd better follow the shooters to Clegrossi now.
Certainly.
I'm glad to have had this gossip over our prospects. We both seem to be doing well. Good morning.
She offers her hand, which he takes ungraciously.
Good morning.
You haven't congratulated me yet, in the usual way.
Will you be happy with him?
I think. Partially.
But you're not going to partially marry Sir Colin. How dare you do this?
He was the first to ask me, Val.
The first to ask you? You don't mean to suggest that any other man would have done?
No, not any other.
Some other?
It's too late now. But yes.
A poor man?
Val!
Would I have stood the remotest chance?
It's too late now.
Would I?
No, nor any other 19th century savage.
Savage.
Mr. White, it is very much too late now. But why, when you returned to England, didn't you wear uncomfortable clothes like other gentlemen, and a very high collar and varnished boots like other gentlemen?
Why? Because I cannot be false to my principles.
People say that principles which deal too much with the outside of things are nothing but affectations.
Imogen.
If a man has a good heart, he should have a good hat.
Imogen, Jenny, if I had ever come to you in a good hat.
If you had, then when Mamma urged me to marry, perhaps you would not have blamed me for...
For what?
For liking some pleasant-looking gentleman who laughed at harmless follies instead of scolding them.
And now?
Now it is too late.
She falls into his arms. He embraces her. Mr. Joseph Lebanon outside.
Hey! Come here! Hey!
Oh!
She breaks away from Valentine and runs out, as Lebanon enters, very pale and upset. Mr. Joseph Lebanon clinging to Valentine.
Old fella.
What's the matter with you?
Grr, you're wanted.
Lady Twombley enters.
Good gracious!
Something has happened, I'm afraid.
Valentine goes out. Lady Twombley to Lebanon.
You're ill.
I'm upset.
Too much breakfast.
No, I've peppered Macphail.
Peppered him? Can't you take your mind off eating?
You don't understand. I was in the wagonette, telling 'em the story of Tom Boulter and those beastly ducks. I got hold of a beastly gun, and just as I was demonstrating how I shot the 15 beastly birds...
It went off.
Well, don't make such a fuss of it.
And it was pointed at Sir Colin.
Pointed at him? Nah, his legs were stuck right in the way.
Heavens!
Be quiet. Make light of it. Make light of it like I do.
Now I hope you're content.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't have had this happen for half a sovereign. This Highland holiday of mine is getting on me nerves.
Your nerves?
Yes, Lady T. Imagine what it must mean to a shy man to get a rollicking August with a lot of people whose chief occupation is staring at the tips of their own aquiline noses. Imagine what it must be to a shy man to find himself always leading the conversation instead of following it with a sparkling comment or two, as I'm in the habit of doing in my own circle. Think of me starting every topic and arguing on it till me throat's sore, making every joke and roaring at it till I get blood to the head. Sometimes when I'm in the middle of a long story and not a soul listening, I feel so lonely I could almost cry.
Then out of your own sufferings, why can't you find some compassion for mine?
It's pathetic. That's what my position is. It's just pathetic.
In mercy's name, why don't you retire quietly to your room and pack?
What? Throw up the sponge?
You needn't throw up your sponge. Pack your sponge.
I understand, Lady T. Hook it.
Hook it is a harsh way of putting it. Bring your visit to a close. Think of what you are losing here. Think of Margate, where I feel you must have many dear friends.
Oh, I've half a mind to.
Oh, bless you, Mr. Lebanon, bless you. I'll fetch you a Bradshaw.
Stop, I forgot the hop.
The hop?
There's a ball here tomorrow night.
Oh, for heaven's sake, don't wait for the hop.
I've had half a dozen lessons in the Scotch reel before I left town.
And you would risk the reel on half a dozen lessons? Madman!
Half a dozen lessons at store prices. Dash it all, you wouldn't have me waste 'em.
Oh, hopeless.
Sir Julian enters unobserved by Lebanon or Lady Twombley.
Look here, Lady T. I'm sorry to disappoint a lady, but it ain't Mr. Joseph Lebanon's principle to do something for nothing.
No. If you lend a lady your arm, you do it at interest.
I'm not alluding to our pleasant financial relationship, Lady T. What I infer is that if after the forthcoming op I drag meself away from me sorrowing friends at Drumdurris, I expect, a solatium.
Sir Julian remains watching and listening.
What?
Lady T, me pride has been wounded in this house. Me self-respect has been hurt.
Pardon me, I'm hysterical.
If you could heal me feelings by rendering me a service.
To be rid of you.
Oh, Lady T, how plainly you put it. Well, yes.
Try me.
Sir Julian disappears suddenly.
Hush! Thought I heard somebody. Lady T, you are aware that Mr. Joseph Lebanon's position in the financial world is an eminent one?
I wasn't aware of it.
Take it from me, Lady T, take it from me. But that distinguished position might be advanced by the success of some delicate little financial operations, which I'm on the brink of, Lady Twombley, on the brink of. Lady T, if I could know 24 hours in advance of the prime newspapers the decision of the government on the Rajputana Canal question, it would go far to heal the wound me self-respect has received in this Recherche Island home. You follow me, Lady T?
I suppose you mean that when the decision of the government is known in the city, something or other will go up and something or other will go down on the stock exchange. Is that it?
That's it, Lady T, that's it. And some fellas will make fortunes. Oh, Lady T.
But why do you bother a poor woman with a headache?
Because without the gentle guidance of tender-hearted woman, I can't find out whether the government is going to grant the concession for the cutting of the Rajputana Canal. Oh, Lady Twombley, Let me have 5 minutes alone with Sir Julian's papers in Sir Julian's room.
Mr. Lebanon.
2 minutes. I'll stroll around. I'll go in with a duster and tidy up.
Oh!
Or give me a glimpse of some of the documents Mr. Melton brought with him in that box yesterday.
I want some fresh air.
Wait, if you do this for me, I'll clear out of Drumdurris with Fanny on Thursday morning.
Oh, no.
And I'll hand you back your acceptances, every one of them I will, on my word of honour as a gentleman.
She seizes him by the throat and shakes him violently.
How dare you? How dare you tempt me?
Mr. Joseph Lebanon, arranging his hair and moustache with his pocket comb and mirror.
Oh, ladies are trying in business. They are just trying.
You wretch. Do you think I haven't endured enough for the past 3 months without this? Oh, Pa, what will you say to your Kitty when you know the disgrace she's brought on you? Oh, my chicks, my blessed chicks.
Lady Twombley, me pride has been wounded, me self-respect has been hurt in this Recherche Island home for, I hope, the last time. I shall retire from the hop early tomorrow night and hook it. Bring my visit to a close on Thursday morning.
Thank you.
Next week the first bit of paper bearing the honoured name of woman falls due.
Oh!
I repeat the word D-U-E, due.
Mr. Lebanon.
Our interview has been a distressing one, Lady Twombley. It is over.
Mr. Lebanon! Mr. Lebanon!
He turns his chair from her to herself.
It's all up with me. I'll go and find Pa and tell him. There's no help for it. I'll tell him. Mr. Lebanon, for the last time, have compassion on a poor fool of a woman.
He turns away.
Oh, I'll go to Pa's room and tell him.
She goes out.
That's one way to the old gentleman's room.
He opens the door and listens.
Ah, what's the latest quotation for lovely woman's weakness?
Valentine enters with Mrs. Gayluster Macphail, who looks very scared, has a handkerchief bound round his knee, and leans on Mrs. Gayluster's arm. She supports him to a chair. Mrs. Gayluster to Sir Colin.
Lean on your poor broken-hearted friend.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon to himself.
Oh, the deuce.
I'll find Lady Macphail.
He goes out. Mrs. Gayluster whispering to Lebanon.
Get out of sight.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon quietly to her.
Can't. I must wait here. I've got an important little affair on.
So have I. Leave us.
Oh, my goodness, how selfish you are, Fanny.
Selfish? You'll ruin my prospects in life, brute.
Vixen!
Bah!
Bah!
Lebanon goes out. Mrs. Gayluster throws herself on her knees beside Macphail.
How do you feel now?
Well, it's tingling.
Tingling? You bear it like a hero.
I appreciate the compliment, but I'm thinking I'm only a bit singed.
Ah, but why? Why do you indulge in these reckless sports?
I was merely sitting in the drag, looking at the sky.
Sitting in the drag, looking at the sky? How foolhardy.
Whereupon your brother, without a word of warning, blazed away at my knee.
Ah! Don't describe it. Suppose you had had your head on your knee.
Lady Macphail outside.
Take me to Colin.
My mother.
Mrs. Gayluster to herself.
Drat your mother.
She stands with her handkerchief to her eyes. Lady Macphail enters with Egidia, the Dowager, Lady Euphemia, and Valentine.
Sir Colin.
Dowager sitting at a writing table.
I'll telegraph to Sir George McHarness, the surgeon.
No, let the wail of the lament waken the echoes of the Black Ben Mukti.
Macphail rising from the chair.
It's not at all necessary, Mother.
He can stand.
Dowager writing.
Bring chloroform and knives.
Ah, Colin, lad, why did we ever quit the grey shores of Loch na Doich?
I'll go upstairs and bathe my knee, Mother.
Lady Macphail leads him.
He can walk.
Madam, a Macphail can always walk under any circumstances.
Dowager reading the telegram she has written.
If in doubt, amputate.
Lady Macphail, Valentine, Lady Euphemia, Egidia, and the Dowager go out. Mrs. Gayluster weeping till the others are out of sight.
Joseph will die of remorse.
Calling.
Psst. The coast is clear, Joseph. Joe!
As she goes out, Lady Twombley enters with great agitation, clutching an important-looking document.
Oh, Kitty, what have you done? Kitty, what have you done?
Lebanon enters.
Lady T. Thought so.
Seeing the paper.
Oh, my goodness. What has she got here?
I must find Julian. Oh!
Mr. Joseph Lebanon, snatching the paper from her.
Excuse me?
Give me back that paper.
Lady T. Oh, Lady T.
Lady Twombley following him round the table.
Give me back that paper, dear, sweet Mr. Lebanon.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon reading the paper.
Ha!
Oh, don't read it.
My friend Sir Julian's own writing? The Rajputana Canal is a blessed fact. Lady Twombley, I forget my wounded pride. I forgive the blow to my self-respect. You have won a place in Joe Lebanon's art.
Give me back that paper and forget it.
Mr. Joseph Lebanon returning the paper.
Give it you back? Delighted. Forget it? Oh, Lady T. Lady T.
Devil.
Lady Twombley, Joseph Lebanon is above all things a man of honour.
Handing bills to Lady Twombley.
Lovely woman's acceptances.
I won't take them. I won't buy them back at such a price.
Natural delicacy.
Laying bills on the table.
You can pick 'em up when I'm gone.
Oh, what a wicked woman I am.
I can get out of these beastly clothes, drive to Strathloughlin Junction, and wire to town before feeding time. The city is on the eve of a financial earthquake. Joseph's name will be an household word from Mile End to Kensington. Lady Twombley, we meet at the Op tomorrow night for the last time. In society? Whoa! Dash society!
He performs a few steps of a Highland dance.
Excuse my humour?
He goes out.
The bills! The bills! They mustn't lie there.
As she goes to the table, Sir Julian, looking very white and dishevelled, enters and, standing opposite to her, takes up the bills and presents them to her.
Pa!
Lady Twombley.
Oh, my gracious!
She drops on her hands and knees at Sir Julian's feet.
You found me out, Pa. You found me out.
I have found you out.
How did you manage it?
By degrading myself to the position of an eavesdropper.
That's pretty mean, Pa, ain't it?
Seeing that he is examining the bills, she puts up her hands and seizes them.
Oh, don't tot them up. Don't tot them up.
Catherine, when I first saw you, 23 years ago, you were standing over a tub in the tiled yard of your father's farm, wringing out your little sister's pinafores.
Oh.
Could I have looked forward, I should have known that you would one day wring my feelings as you do now.
Pa, I've fallen into the hands of the unscrupulous.
Woman!
Oh, don't call me that, Pa.
The unscrupulous! You have lost the right to ever again use that serviceable word.
What do you mean?
How do you come by those bills?
Julian, you know.
Going toward him on her knees frantically.
Oh, don't stare like that.
Putting her arms round him.
Husband, dear husband, you are glaring like an idiot. Listen.
She shakes him violently.
Listen. When that reptile tempted me, I ran upstairs intending to tell you all. I did. Oh, Pa, don't stare at nothing. I knocked at your door. There was a drumming in my ears, and I fancied your voice answered me, telling me to enter. Oh, try winking, Pa. Try winking. Your room was empty, left unguarded, the door unlocked. I entered. Wink, Pa, for mercy's sake, wink. I sank into a chair to wait for your coming.
Taking the written paper from her pocket.
And there, on your table, right before my eyes, I saw this thing like a white ghost.
A memorandum in my writing that the concession for the Rajputana Canal is to be granted.
Yes, yes, I tried to forget it was there. But the chairs and tables seemed to dance before me, and every object in the room had a voice crying out, "Kitty, you silly woman, get back your bills from that demon who is plaguing you." I put my fingers in my ears, and then the voices were shut up in my brain, and still they shrieked, "Kitty, get back your bills! Get back your bills!" I snatched up this paper and ran from the room. Even then, if I had met you, Julian, I should have been safe. But whenever old Nick wants to play the deuce with a married lady, he begins by taking her husband for a stroll. And so I fell into Lebanon's clutches. And I'm done for.
She sinks into a chair.
Catherine, those bills must be returned to the creature Lebanon.
Yes, and, Pa dear, you'll never speak kindly to me after this, will you?
I trust I shall be invariably polite to you, Catherine.
Oh, we shall be whitewashed in the bankruptcy court eventually, I suppose.
All in good time, Catherine.
And then? What then?
Then we must hope for a cottage, and a small garden where we can grow our own vegetables and learn wisdom.
Our own vegetables. And years hence, Pa, sometimes when I am sitting over my knitting, you'll forget the past and play your flute again and be happy?
Catherine?
He takes his flute from his pocket and breaks it into pieces across his knee.
Never, never again, Catherine.
As he is leaving her.
One pang of remorse I can spare you, Catherine.
Don't!
You believe you have betrayed a solemn secret of the government to that unprincipled money-lender.
Of course.
That you have not done.
Pa!
No, Catherine. Overhearing his shameful proposition, and fearing your weakness, I had time to hasten to my room, conceal all important papers, and scribble the memorandum you abstracted.
Why, then...
That writing records the exact reverse of the truth.
And Joseph?
In the language of the vulgar, Mr. Lebanon is sold.
He goes out.
Julian!
Staring at the paper.
The exact reverse of the truth. Then the Rajputana Canal... Julian, why should you be first blackened and then whitewashed because of your vagabond wife? A cottage Our own vegetables? Never. Why shouldn't I have my delicate little financial operations in the city? Oh, my gracious!
Drumdurris and Brooke enter.
Hello, Mater. What?
Brooke, Keith, you boys must drive me over to Strachlaren Junction. I must telegraph to London backwards and forwards all day. Keith, put me into communication with your stockbroker in town.
Aunt!
Silence. I'm on the brink of some delicate little financial operations.
To Brooke.
Get out the cart.
The drag's outside.
Come on.
Lebanon enters hastily.
Hey, Drumdurris, let me have a carriage to go to Strachlaren Junction. I want a wire to town.
Do you? So do we. We'll give you a lift. Come on.
They all hurry out. End of the third act. Act 4 of The Cabinet Minister by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The fourth act. Dancing. The scene is still the inner hall of Drumdurris Castle, now brilliantly lighted and florally decorated, the evening after the events of the previous act. Waltz music is heard, then a slight scream, and Lebanon in full Highland costume enters hastily.
I wouldn't have had it happen for half a sovereign.
The Munkittrick, a fiery old gentleman in Highland dress, enters.
Sir, I am most indignant.
I've explained. I felt myself going, and I called it what came nearest.
My daughter came nearest.
I know. Don't make such a fuss about it. Do you remember we're at a ball?
Miss Munkittrick is torn to ribbons.
All right, make light of it. Make light of it like I do.
Ah!
Drumdurris in Highland dress enters with Miss Munkittrick, who is much discomposed, and Egidia, who is soothing her. Earl of Drumdurris to Munkittrick.
My dear sir.
Papa. Oh, Flora, Flora.
Lord Drumdurris.
Let it blow over. We're all forgetting we're at a ball.
Miss Munkittrick has been rolled upon the floor.
She was passing at the time. I didn't select her. Don't be so conceited.
Lebanon continues to explain. Munkittrick is indignant. Drumdurris endeavours to soothe him. Brooke enters carrying a satin shoe, which he presents to Miss Munkittrick.
Awfully sorry. What?
Brooke hurries out.
Where is Papa?
Imogen enters carrying an aigrette.
Oh, Miss Munkittrick, what a shocking mishap.
They fasten the aigrette in Miss Munkittrick's hair.
Have you seen my Papa?
Lady Euphemia, carrying a sash, hurries in as Imogen goes off. Miss Munkittrick rises. Lady Euphemia and Egidia adjust the sash hastily. Lady Euphemia Vibart, adjusting the sash.
My dear Flora, this is too unfortunate.
Brooke re-enters with another shoe.
The other, what?
To Lady Euphemia.
There are some more pieces. Come and help.
Brooke and Lady Euphemia hurry out.
I want my Papa.
See Munkittrick.
Huh?
The Munkittrick giving her his arm.
Flora, we'll go home.
Papa, I'm not nearly all.
Her aigrette is very much on one side. Her sash is trailing, and she limps away carrying one slipper.
Pray don't think of going.
Let it blow over.
My dear sir.
Oh, very well. You're losing the best of the ball.
The Munkittrick and Miss Munkittrick go out, followed by Egidia and Drumdurris. Imogen, Lady Euphemia, and Brooke enter hastily, each carrying a fragment of Miss Munkittrick's dress. Mr. Joseph Lebanon taking the remnants.
Allow me. My affair.
Imogen, Lady Euphemia, and Brooke go out. Lebanon crams the pieces of Miss McKittrick's dress under a chair cushion.
Let it blow over. Where's me partner?
He goes out. Macphail enters with Mrs. Gayluster upon his arm.
Staying out is infinitely preferable to dancing, is it not, dear Sir Colin?
I hate dancing.
But your dear mother says you resemble some beautiful wild thing when you dance the Strathspey.
That's because I hate it. The Strathspey's enough to make a lad wild.
Witty boy.
Hey? Do you think I'm naturally quick?
Quick?
Quick in my understanding.
I'm sure of it.
Eh? I'm glad you think I'm quick.
Why?
Because Ballowcheven, that's our place, you understand. Ballowcheven is enough to soften a lad's brain.
Then why hide your light at Ballowcheven?
Well, the Macphails have lived there since 1102.
How romantic.
So Mother's just got out of the way of moving.
Charming attachment to an old home.
Aye, it's old. It hasn't been papered and done up since Robert Bruce stayed with us.
Robert Bruce?
Aye, just from a Saturday till Monday, I'm thinking.
There must be a legend attached to every stone of Ballowcheven.
Aye, it's interesting. But it requires papering. Oh, I'm so tired of Ballowcheven.
But you love the rugged country, the vast, overwhelming hills, and the placid lochs.
Mother's been telling you that.
Isn't it true?
Eh? I'm just weary of my native scenery.
But what about the misty chasms of Ben Muchty?
That's an awfully damp place. That's where I caught my bad cold.
And the grey shore of Loch Nadoich. Your mother says you adore it.
Hey, I am sick of Loch Nadoich.
And your feet don't ache to press the heather?
It's when they're on the heather my feet ache. It's poor walking, heather.
Then you don't watch the sun rise from the jagged summit of Benafichan?
Macphail cunningly.
Eh? But I do, though. Every day when I'm at home.
But why?
To get away from Mother.
Poor boy.
Macphail reflectively.
I've been thinking.
Yes?
That you'd better let go of my arm now.
Sir Colin.
I've no personal objection, you understand, but Mother's always looking for me.
How thoughtless I am.
He walks away.
Sir Colin.
Aye?
Your mother is driving you to contract this marriage with Miss Twombley.
Well, Mother's just making the arrangements.
Your great heart hasn't gone out to her. Unhappiness must ensue. Your bright career will be dimmed.
Will be... what?
Dimmed. What did you think I said? Oh, Sir Colin, don't carry this unsuitable bride to Ballowcheven.
Well, it's a serious step, but I've been thinking it would be another in the house.
You don't want another in the house. You need a strong, self-reliant wife who will take you out of the house.
Eh?
A woman, loving but firm, tender but enterprising, who will bear you from your dilapidated home and plunge you into the vortex of some great city.
Suddenly.
Have you ever been to Paris?
No.
I know every inch of it.
Madam.
Oh, what have I said? Sir Colin, you have guessed my secret.
Macphail produces his ball program from his stocking and refers to it.
I'm engaged to Miss Kilbowie for this waltz, if you'll excuse me.
Mrs. Gayluster holding out her hand to him.
Colin?
I'm thinking Mother will be wondering.
Mrs. Gayluster to herself.
Drat your mother.
To Macphail.
Never mind, dear Lady Macphail, for a moment. Colin, since you have discovered my love for you, I will make no further reservation.
But, Mother...
Mrs. Gayluster under her breath.
Drat your...
To Macphail.
Colin, I will be to you the wife you have described.
I'm extremely obliged to ye, but...
Hush, bold boy.
She gives him a card.
You know my cruel brother takes me back to town tomorrow. Here is my address, so that you may write to me constantly, devotedly.
Macphail reading the card.
Merichettancy. Court dressmakers.
Mrs. Gayluster snatching the card from him.
That's a wrongin'. I mean, that's a mistake.
Giving another.
There. Hide it away, dear one, nearest your heart.
He slips it into his stocking.
Oh.
And now, as I start in the morning at 9:45 sharp on the tick, we must say farewell. Oh, this parting is too cruel. Colin.
She falls against him.
Here's my mother.
He throws her off. Mrs. Gayluster under her breath.
Drat your mother.
Lady Macphail enters.
Madam?
To Macphail.
Why do you leave the ballroom, my lad?
I've just been watching the moonlight on Loch Auchentoshan.
I'm proud to see this devotion to Loch Auchentoshan, but tonight you have other duties almost equally important. After this paltry waltz, we lose ourselves in the wild pleasures of our native dance.
The Strathspey?
He takes Mrs. Gayluster's card from his stocking.
Oh.
Hides it and produces his ball program from his other stocking.
The Strathspey.
Come, lad, they have yet to see the Macphail lead the Strathspey with his betrothed.
They go out together.
Yes, and they shall ultimately see the Macphail writing love letters to Fanny. Love letters with a promise of marriage in 'em. I'll consult a solicitor directly I reach town, and be ready to marry or to sue him. Oh, Fanny, Fanny, ungrateful girl, what a lot you have to be thankful for.
She runs out, and Angèle peeps in.
Milord, milady.
She enters.
I must find milady, milady.
Lady Twombley enters.
No news from Reeves and Shuckleback, the stockbrokers. Oh, the waiting for it will finish me.
Oh, milady Twombley.
Lady Twombley turning to her sharply.
Tell me, where is milord?
What? Has a messenger come from Strathlachen with a telegram for Lord Drumdurris? Speak.
I do not know.
Oh.
But, oh, milady, I have been a wicked girl.
I dare say you have. That's your business.
Milady, the little Lord Aberbrossock is indisposed.
The baby?
Yes. To please milord, and contrary to milady's orders, I put Lord Aberbrossock to bed with his gun.
I know. I'm a mother. The child has swallowed the paint.
Yes.
Send a groom to Strathlachen for Dr. McGubby.
Yes, milady.
Angèle.
Milady?
Tell the man to inquire at Strathlachen for telegrams for the castle.
Yes, milady.
Angèle runs out.
Oh, for a telegram from Reeves and Shuckleback. My diamonds, my double row of pearls for a telegram from Reeves and Shuckleback.
Egidia enters with Angèle, followed by Drumdurris.
Lady Twombley.
Has Keith had a telegram?
A telegram? No, my son is ill.
Oh, I know. He has nibbled his gun.
His gun?
Yes, milady.
Ah, the army.
To Drumdurris.
So you have gained your own ends after all, Keith, and my boy has fallen.
Egidia goes out, followed by Angèle. Drumdurris sinks into a chair.
Keith.
Don't speak to me. please, Aunt.
I must. Reeves and Shuckleback are strangely silent.
Let them remain so. I care not.
You don't care. Surely you are anxious to know whether you have been instrumental in saving me from growing my own vegetables.
Growing your own.
Surely you want to know whether you have made me a wealthy woman, or have ruined yourself in the effort.
Ruined myself.
Keith, dear, I am afraid I haven't done what is strictly regular, but when you put me into communication with your stockbrokers, I carried on my delicate little financial operations with them in your name.
Aunt Kate.
Keith, you're annoyed.
May I ask, what delicate little financial operations?
I've speculated, on the strength of my private knowledge of the decision of the government on the Rajputana Canal question. I mean, you have speculated.
Aunt Twombley, how dare you do such a thing?
How dare I? Boy, for you are little more, boy, you wouldn't have a cabinet minister's wife take advantage of her confidential acquaintance with her husband's official affairs to advance her own interests. Oh, Keith!
But you've done it.
No, I haven't. Don't be so dull. You've done it.
And if your delicate little financial operations,
if they come off, you have made what you men call a pile, Keith. All through your blundering auntie, you will have made a pile.
Which I hand over to you, Aunt Kate.
I shall borrow it, Keith, dear. May I?
And if, pardon the question, if your delicate little financial operations
don't come off?
Certainly. If they don't come off, what then?
Then, through your reckless speculation, you will have impoverished your estate for the rest of your life.
Aunt!
Egidia enters.
Keith.
Tell me.
Fergus has taken a turn for the better.
Egidia, how can I look you in the face?
Cannot we read a lesson from this dreadful occurrence?
To reconcile our views?
Finally, you see now how unfitted our son is to a soldier's life?
Yes, I have been wrong. Happily, it is not too late to remold his character. We must return to the ballroom.
First come with me and peep into the nursery.
By all means, the nursery.
The nursery.
The nursery.
They go out as the Dowager enters.
Catherine.
Dora.
I am beside myself. Have you heard the news?
News? Telegrams for Keith?
I know nothing about telegrams. I've just overheard Julian talking solemnly to Brooke. Do you know what your husband intends to do?
Grow his own vegetables.
Bother his vegetables. He resigns his place in the ministry.
The same thing.
To herself.
Oh, why can't he wait?
Sir Julian enters with Brooke.
Catherine, I have been telling Brooke of the change in his prospects.
I say, mater, such a blow, what?
Pa, why can't you wait?
Wait. For what, Catherine?
Wait till the boy can patch up his future with a wealthy wife, of course.
Really, Dora, I don't think it would be absolutely fair.
Fair? People's actions are like their heads of hair. They can be dyed flaxen.
To Brooke.
Boy, why do you let the grass grow under your pumps in this way?
I haven't let the grass grow, Aunt Dora. I have the happiness to be engaged, what?
Engaged?
Bless my soul.
In mercy's name, to whom?
To Effie.
Euphemia?
Euphemia?
Euphemia? Why, how dare you conspire to entrap a child of mine into a moneyless marriage?
My dear Dora, you yourself suggested.
If I may be guilty of such an expression, fal lal.
But, Aunt...
Hold your tongue, sir. I believe you all have abominable motives.
Lady Twombley to herself.
The telegram, the telegram. Why is there no telegram?
The music of the strathspey is heard. Imogen enters with Lady Euphemia.
Euphemia!
Lady Euphemia joins the others. Imogen goes to Lady Twombley in agitation.
Mamma, the strathspey.
What of it?
I'm engaged to dance it with Sir Colin. Oh, Mamma, I don't love him.
Child, you loved him the other night while your head was being washed.
I didn't see clearly then. The egg julep was in my eyes. But now Lady Macphail is running after me from one room to another, because she declares I must fulfil the destiny of a Macphail's betrothed and lead the strathspey by her side. But I won't dance a deception before a room full of people.
Imogen, there is nothing for you but this marriage, or contemptible, cleanly poverty.
Poverty?
Child, you are young to be told these things, but what do you think is likely to happen to Pa and me?
Mamma, keep nothing from me.
In all probability, we shall grow our own vegetables.
Oh, what for?
For dinner. Oh, Imogen, have pity on your mother. I can face contemptible, cleanly poverty with Pa alone, but if I see my innocent chicks sharing our miseries, every cabbage in our garden will grow up with a broken heart.
She embraces Imogen. Lady Macphail enters with Macphail.
Miss Twombley, Lord Drumdurris's guests are politely waiting till you are pleased to lead the strathspey with the Macphail.
Miss Twombley?
Imogen quietly to Lady Twombley.
Mamma?
Lady Twombley to herself.
No telegram from town.
To Imogen.
Imogen, you had better not lose your dance.
With a slight courtesy to Macphail, Imogen gives him her arm as Valentine enters, trimmed, shaven, and in immaculate evening dress.
Why, Val!
Mr. White!
Imogen!
Imogen leaving Macphail.
Valentine!
Valentine White!
Imogen, am I too late?
Too late?
For the honor of dancing with you tonight?
You are in time, Valentine.
For which dance?
This dance.
Mother!
The child is mad.
Stop the strathspey! Stop the strathspey!
She hurries out, followed by Macphail.
Mr. White, really you shouldn't, you know.
The music ceases.
Sir Julian, Lady Twombley, with your permission I shall go no further to avoid the shams of life. I have found one cool resting place in this world where there is reality and sincerity.
With Imogen's hands in his.
And I have found it in an advanced state of civilization.
The Dowager pulls Imogen away.
I positively must beg.
Dowager to Imogen.
Child, at this moment I feel grateful that I am your aunt, with all an aunt's privileges.
She shakes her.
Mamma!
Lady Twombley seizing Imogen.
My chick, your mother has privileges also. Bless you and Valentine.
Kissing her.
There. Dora, if you shake my girl again, I'll slap you.
Ah! Julian!
Drumdurris appears with a telegram.
Aunt.
What's that?
From Reeves and Shuckleback.
She snatches the telegram from him.
What's the matter?
What's the matter?
What's the matter?
Julian, look at your wife. Brooke, Imogen, come to your mother. No more worries by day and bad dreams at night. No poverty, no cottage, no vegetables. I am a rich woman.
She falls back fainting into Sir Julian's arms as they all surround her. At the same moment Lebanon rushes in with Mrs. Gayluster. He has a telegram in his hand. His aspect is wild, his face white.
Lady Twombley! Where is she? Lady Twombley!
As Lady Twombley is assisted to a chair, Lebanon falls into another.
Mamma!
Joseph!
Ah!
Ah!
Be quiet. Lady Twombley is ill.
Ill? Look at Joseph, my only brother.
Keith, explain this telegram or my brain will give way.
No, tell me. My brain is stronger than Sir Julian's.
Earl of Drumdurris to Sir Julian and the Dowager apart.
Mother. Sir Julian.
I want a word or two with my friend Lady T.
Mrs. Gayluster arranges his chair so that he faces Lady Twombley. She and Lebanon stare at each other.
Oh! Lady T.
Hello.
I've had a wire.
So have I.
From Moss and Emmanuel, my brokers.
Mine is from Reeves and Shuckleback.
Oh, I see. You're brokers. You've done me, Lady T.
Don't mention it.
You're a knowing one.
I'm sure I'm very gratified to hear you say so.
The bills. Give me the bills you swindled me out of.
He advances violently, but Mrs. Gayluster holds him back. Lady Twombley hands the bills to Sir Julian.
Joe!
Mr. Lebanon, the bills, sir.
Giving them. Lebanon snaps his fingers demonstratively in Sir Julian's face.
Drum, thank you for your recherche hospitality. Carriage to the station in the morning, if you please.
Kissing his hands.
Ladies?
Breaking down.
Oh, Fanny, take me to bed.
He goes out. Mrs. Gayluster is about to follow when Lady Macphail enters with Macphail.
Madam, my boy, my poor lad, has told me of your behaviour.
My behaviour? He loves me.
Colin?
I thought I'd better mention the affair to Mother.
Of course. Conceal nothing from your parent.
And Mother agrees with me.
Yes?
That it would be just a risky matter to correspond with a widow lady.
Ah!
Macphail producing Mrs. Gayluster's card from his stocking.
So I'm thinking I shan't require this address.
Ah!
She slaps his face violently and runs out.
Oh!
Oh! Mother!
Lady Macphail embraces him. The music of the Strathspey is heard again. Egidia enters.
The Strathspey, come into the ballroom. What has happened?
Oh, I can't enter the ballroom again tonight.
But you must dance a Strathspey.
Must I? Dance, then.
They take their places for the dance.
Pa, Valentine, Imogen, Brooke, Effie, Keith, Egidia, Lady Macphail, Sir Colin. Dance. Dance with foolish, thoughtless, weak-headed Kitty Twombley for the last time. For tomorrow she becomes a sober, wise, happy, and contented woman. Dance.
They dance the Strathspey and reel. Sir Julian with Lady Twombley, Drumdurris with Egidia, Brooke with Lady Euphemia, Valentine with Imogen, Lady Macphail with Macphail. The Dowager sits apart gloomily. Sir Julian Twombley to Lady Twombley while dancing.
You've been indiscreet again, Kitty.
Finally, Julian, finally.
No more extravagance?
Never, never.
And you resign yourself to a peaceful rural life?
Oh.
Promise me, promise me.
Dance, Pa, dance.
End of Act 4. End of The Cabinet Minister by Arthur Wing Pinero.